Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
and welcome to the finals here at the Dominate Premade Risen Esports Series. My name is Victor. Casting with me this evening is Coleslaw. Super hyped for this one. First Blood Knights versus Team. Let's go.
Yeah, we've been getting excited for this match all week. We saw First Blood Knights and Team both clinch a berth into the finals in two pretty close series. Team taking all the way to 5 games. First Blood Knights not far behind them, so it'll be interesting to see how these two teams can do. Neither actually ended up first in their groups. They've toppled the Giants in the playoffs so far, and now it's seeing who's in the better form, who's ready to go. We're already getting into pick and ban here. We've got bans flying off the table.
Yeah, exactly. Varus, Victor, and Thresh for the side of Team bans, and Grave, Syndra, and Renekton for the side of First Blood Knights. We do have that Aphelios locked in. Very strong pitch currently for Landon, and carried a game in the semi-finals against Gas.
Yeah, I like to see the Aphelios from First Blood Knights, though it is a little vulnerable and it can be punished by heavy engage. If Kench is still available, you've always got that as an option. You can always pick a less meta but still viable enchanter support to keep him going. In response, Team say, all right, well, we'll just lock in jungle top lane. Ornn coming off the table. A huge power pick for Teemo SCC. They pretty much take it every opportunity they get. They'll say, if you want Aphelios, well, don't mind if we do.
Yeah, gonna take the set top lane into that and matching that with the Trundle. Excellent into a blind Ornn pick. You can really mitigate a lot of those tank stats with those subjugate. And set for Zamundo is an absolute menace. We'll have to see how he can do. He's really been surging through this top lane on a lot of these aggressive picks. See if he can do that with set. Generally, they do pair the Taric with the Aphelios, so we'll see if that gets banned out for Team here.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me to see Team opting to ban the Renekton instead. Zamundo is one of the hard carries on First Blood Knights. He's been a monster in top lane, and he really is one of their primary win conditions. So Renekton, of course, having that early presence, that early laning phase, the dominance to really punish any kind of safe pick, they'd rather ban that and give him kind of more of a power pick in set. Renekton not quite as strong in general, but he does have that early game power, so Team opting to say, we'll give you set. We just don't want you rolling over us in the early game on Renekton. So interesting there. We'll have to see how Zamundo can do on this set, see if there's a punish. And we're getting into bans for the pinch.
Yeah, exactly, Coleslaw. We'll have to see if they go super late game. There is the Taric ban, however, coming out. Maybe see an Azir mid. They have been favoring that, but that's just so much scaling, and they can potentially rely on Cinderbell on this Trundle just to carry them through. Aphelios, such a strong champion late game. But you just need to hit those power spikes, and Trundle, excellent map control, being able to do that, soloing out on the objectives as well. For the side of Team, they still have their support and mid laner to look. We'd expect for them to be able to pick up a support when we do get this last ban locked in, so we get counter pick in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see Orianna coming off the table from First Blood Knights. The Raccoon God does have a pretty diverse champion pool, but Orianna is actually not something that we've seen him pull out in playoffs so far. It's been a lot more about Kassadin and Syndra, and Corki was picked up. I wouldn't be surprised if they hold that counter pick for mid lane to see if they can get away with a Kassadin pick into a matchup that won't be too bad. So instead, they're going to lock in the Bard to go with Ezreal. It's an interesting lane. We did see Bard happen last week as well. It was a pretty powerful pick. It did show up in mid lane and get some things going. So that's going to be what's going on there. And with the Azir on the hover, I'm thinking this may actually be the Raccoon God's opportunity to play Kassadin. It was really denied from Team last week. There was never an opportunity to go for it, but with Azir, it's definitely a viable pick.
Yeah, nice better scaling as well. We do really have sort of Ezreal wanting to get those power spikes for the Mana Muni and the Triforce potentially. Could go for that as well. We do have Karma now locked in against the Bard. Karma really strong with that sort of R already locked in pre-6. You can really be a big lane bully and provide so much mobility, particularly getting Set and Trundle into the front line, as they don't have natural gap closers. They do just have to run at their opponents.
Yeah, and Bard not being this super heavy engage support, you don't need to pick something too passive to go with the Aphelios. Kench is kind of the most common partner. With Taric ban, that's obviously not an option either. But Bard isn't going to punish the Aphelios as much as something like a Leona would, so you can actually get away with Karma and try to have some lane dominance. And you do still have that shield, you have Mantra to even make it more powerful. You can survive that lane just fine as Aphelios Karma. That's actually going to be a lot of power coming out of that bot duo. They might be trying to steamroll over their lane, while at the same time you've got this Bard from Team to Team that's likely going to want to look to leave and just let the Ezreal farm safely from distance with his Q.
Yeah, Ezreal a great pairing with the Bard to allow all those roaming potentials. Well, you mentioned the Kassadin, but I just wanted to mention that Ezreal doesn't really have a lot of wave clear unless he does use his ult to really trade for the lane. So potentially going with the Ziggs rather than that Kassadin is just, if you get behind with those two champions, very difficult to control the lane states, very difficult to rotate and set up for objectives first. The Ziggs will allow that to happen. You can also Mega and Thermal a side lane as well to get more pressure on the map. So Ziggs are a nice adaptation here for the draft for Team.
Yeah, I do like that pick, and it pairs into Azir well. Azir can utilize range advantage really effectively during laning phase. He does obviously have the Sand Soldiers, and into a melee champion, they can really bully and harass pretty hard. And Ziggs doesn't really make himself vulnerable to any of that. He actually outranges Azir with less mana to use. Azir really needs to be spamming W and Q to get his soldiers to Ziggs. And if he's doing that, he's not clearing the wave. Whereas Ziggs can clear the wave, he can poke Azir, he can sit back, play safe. He can use the Satchel Charge to get himself to safety from any Trundle ganks. So I really like that pick. I think it's really powerful for laning phase, and Ziggs, of course, scales into the late game extraordinarily well. My one concern is that his Mega Bomb can be countered a little bit by the Karma RE. When you get that Mantra Shield, it's just massive, and it can really mitigate a lot of that Ziggs damage, which comes in super, super telegraphed.
Yeah, you'd expect that Mantra E to be used more as the engaged tool, though we'll have to see whether or not they can match that. But definitely, if Set can get ahead, get that Dead Man plate going as well, see how Trundle fares up in the matchup. Can definitely trade with the Jarvan. Jarvan has opportunity to flag and drag over the terrain that obviously Trundle can't. So we'll have to see how he fares in the jungle. But you'd expect for Cinderbell to have the range of the map sort of in the opening levels.
Yeah, Trundle's a really, really strong pick here. I think that's something to always pay attention to. It's been rising in popularity this season, not because of any particular buffs, but because anytime tanks show up and tanks start being picked early on in draft phases, Trundle just kind of lurks in the background saying, ooh, I can steal those stats. I'm going to make that tank squishy.
Yeah, you're right, Cole.
Aftershock, just not an option.
Yeah, definitely has been interesting. With Orm just being in the meta for such a long period, I think literally just all season he has just been a strong pick in the top lane, allowing that extra sort of gold income that he gets from those masterworks as well, scaling up into that late game. Probably see that for Ezreal, Ziggs as well. You do want to make sure that you have the items to be able to upgrade, so it limits your path as well. But Ziggs and Ezreal definitely have paths for that, so not an issue there.
In any case, looking at these two team comps holistically, I think we see two teams that both have some attempts at scaling into late game. Aphelios and Azir, both really strong late game team fighters. Aphelios especially if he has that flamethrower available. He's not a great team fighter if it's not up, but when it's up, he can melt through an entire team composition, no problem. And Azir, of course, with all that safe range DPS, with the Emperor's Divide to get someone like an Ornn off of his face, or a Jarvan for that matter, you can get some really clunky interactions with the Emperor's Divide and Cataclysm, where Azir says, oh, you want to be in here with me? No, that's not okay. You're trapped now. Which is a very interesting way to keep himself safe going into these late games. And then on the side of Team, I mean, it's there. It's Ornn. Everyone knows when Ornn is on a team, it's just free stats for everyone. Ornaments coming in on someone like Ezreal, on someone like Ziggs is going to buff them up a ton. Ezreal probably can explore getting an Iceborne Gauntlet into Trundle's set Aphelios. With the Ornn upgrade to that item, he's basically a third tank on the team. He gets massive amounts of armor. He can be insanely hard to kill.
Yeah, exactly, Coastal. Just looking through the comps here as well, we just have so much scaling on the side of FBK. We'll have to see how they can execute that. It would be mentioned that the Raccoon God really needs them to be grouped up, as if he's only really dealing single target, then I just think overwhelming Azir and Aphelios late game will just shred through the enemy, despite the fact that Ornn is there for that front line, and Jarvan will probably be going for that sort of Cinder Hulk heavy armor build as well.
Yeah, the one thing to look out for, I think, is that the two champs to pay attention to in this game are going to be the Trundle and the Set. how effectively they are able to dive, get into the team backline, and disrupt things is going to be the measure of how successful First Blood Knights are in these fights. Of course, Aphelios and Azir are going to matter. They're huge damage dealers. How they play these fights matters substantially. But Trundle and Set into something like Ezreal, Ziggs, Bard, they run the risk of just getting kited. There's so much kiting. There's so many slows available. You have the Satchel Charge. If Ezreal goes Iceborne Gauntlet, there's even more. And these are champions without gap closers, without mobility. All they can do is walk at you. So if they're getting slowed down, they're getting bounced away, they're getting stunned by Bard, they're really going to struggle to get useful in these fights. Whereas with Ornn and Jarvan, you know what they're bringing to the table. It's almost impossible not to be useful on those champions in team fights. All Jarvan has to do is press R, and he's causing disruption in the enemy team's backline. So Set and Trundle are going to need to be able to match that when these team fights break out. They need to get onto these vulnerable carries from team, and if they're not able to, I think I like team's draft just a little better.
Yeah, well, all to play for game 1 of a best of 5 series here for the Dominate Premade Finals for Risen Esports. $200 online for the winner as well, so definitely a lot, and all the prestige comes from winning this Dominate Premade Final. Looking forward to seeing how the series and games progress. My name is Riptor, casting with me this evening is Cole. We'll be right back, getting ready for game number 1. Hello and welcome back to the Dominate Premade finals here at Risen Esports. First Blood Knights on blue side, team on red. Let's go, Coleslaw.
Yeah, we have some interesting choices to talk about to start this game off. Beginning with some summoner spell selections, we have an Exhaust Ignite bot lane coming out of First Blood Knights, and similarly a Heal TP bot lane from Team. Of course, TP is a summoner that you take on Ezreal from time to time. I think that's Team basically saying, wow, we got a level 1 happening here. Zamundo's beating Team OSCC up.
Yeah, Zamundo's winning this very easily, getting those Conqueror stacks and just plowing into him. I think Timo just waited a little bit, was disconnected or just away from keyboard for a couple of seconds before that started.
Yeah, unfortunately a little too early for that damage to stick, so just a cheeky little punch to the face before the game gets going. But as I was saying, TP from this Ezreal is basically Team saying, we are not trying to fight you in lane, Bard is going to be roaming, Ezreal is going to be farming from range with Q, he's just going to be safe and independent, that's why we picked this Ezreal. And then Exhaust Ignite coming out of the Aphelios and Karma is basically the counter to that. It's saying, oh, you don't want to fight us? We're fighting you. We're a kill lane. We don't think we're going to need heal. You're not going to try and fight us, so we're just going to take two very powerful, aggressive combat summoners and try to leverage them into getting some kills early in this laning phase, because our lane is just so much more dominant, especially if Bard's going to be leaving to roam.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start here. Just Jungler's going to rotate up towards their top side of the map. But it's going to be all about this wave management for Elcan in the bot lane. If he can wave set correctly just around his turret point and just not have it push in. Obviously, Aphelios can push quite heavily and Pacey can control the wave as well. But if he can keep it just touched up at his side of the map, he can definitely Q from range. He can definitely have a good time while D-Grubbers looks for the roams. As long as he doesn't get dived on the tower, he should be fine to be able to pick up a lot of gold solo.
Yeah, so the other thing to pay attention to is that if this is going to be a aggressively roaming Bard... Oh,
Cindy Bell has the red buff already. Juiced up Brennan has to flag and drag. We mentioned that interaction already. Jarvan, as long as there's a wall available, can look to just get behind. But he's now low. Zamundo coming in. Has flash as well. He goes for the flash. Looks for the haymaker and first blood in the top lane to Zamundo.
And what is Juiced Up Brennan doing? I understand that he says, well, my top's here, I'm safe, I don't want to have to flash away from this guy. But you just need to blow it there. As soon as Zamundo gets on top of Jarvan, uses that Facebreaker, Juiced Up Brennan needs to get out of there. He needs to know, I'm going to die here, he's going to punch me. And instead, he just holds on to flash, and Cindy Bell and Zamundo combine to punish a mistake out of Juiced Up Brennan to get a first blood. And that is a big deal for First Blood Knights, because that is an advantage on the top side. That is an assisted kill. Zamundo is going to be huge already, and Juiced Up Brennan gets set so far behind in this early game. Not only missing out on the red buff, but being forced back to base before you want to at level 2 is really, really unfortunate. So it'll be interesting to see how he tries to bounce back. But we know this Trundle is going to be a menace with a huge advantage over this Jarvan already.
Brennan flag and dragging away from that bottom scuttle. I'm to take that as well. D-Grub is getting top as well, but a lot of frantic activity up in the top lane. And Zamundo is just so far ahead in CS, just zoning Teemo SCC away from this wave. He just can't do a thing about it. It will slowly crash into the tower, but he just has to wait.
Yeah, and so what we can see there is that First Blood Knights knew after Juiced Up Brennan died on top side, he has to go bot lane. He has to go towards the bottom side of the map to try to get that scuttle. And they send their entire team to try to punish that. Deddy the Panda is there. You have Cindy Bell walking down as well. Casey roaming up to try and contest that Scuttle Crab and deny Juiced Up Brennan even more farm. You do see that heads-up play, now that he knows Trundle is down towards that bot side. He actually goes for this invade. He's going to try and get himself some camps. He does still have flash up because he didn't blow it when he got first blooded, which gives a little extra safety to that invade, but it looks like Cindy Bell may actually spot out Juiced Up Brennan here, and it's going to be more fighting between these two junglers in this early game.
Has an exit path as TP is there, but they just keep charging down onto Juiced Up Brennan. Deddy the Panda finally there, level 5 to the level 3 of Juiced Up Brennan, and he's just getting zoned out of his own jungle at this point, having a very hard time in the early game.
Yeah, he did get most of the wolf camp, just left behind one little wolf, I believe, to make sure not to put that camp on a respawn. Did get the Gromp as well, but that's a lot of time wasted walking. It's a lot of time walking across the map to get into the enemy jungle. It's a lot of time walking out. Oh, Landon.
Yeah. D-Grubbers finding a nice stun under tower, forcing the flash out of Landon in the bottom lane. Has a nice CS lead. They are pushing quite heavily. Already got a plate down against Elkan, who's struggling now that he doesn't have access to his mana pool.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we expected out of the First Blood Knight spot lane. With these two combat summoners, they should be pushing. Landon just getting a little too aggressive, accidentally pulling turret aggro, and getting stunned right before getting out of range of it. It's a little unfortunate on the spacing.
Yeah, up in the top lane, Cinderbell invades the top side, comes back for a gank, forces the flash out of Teemo SEC, and yes, they play even more careful. 18 CS to 34, Blade the Rune King already on the way for Zamundo.
Yeah, and this set is so far ahead. Look at this line from Cinderbell. No one expects you to just sit there. Who would?
It's frozen against him though. There's nothing he can do. He has to go forward. He needs help. But here comes Cinderbell. Pops the pillar. The stun comes in for Teemo as well. Just looking for the haymaker at the end. For the showstopper to close it in. And Zamundo picks up the second kill of the game.
And a brilliant gank by Cinderbell, testing Teemo SCC's concept of object permanence there. You see the Trundle on the top side, you know the Trundle's there, but he wouldn't just sit in the bush. Who does that? The answer, Cinderbell waits for Teemo SCC to go back to the wave, and as soon as he's vulnerable, as soon as he's in position for another gank with that flash blown, it's automatically a kill. Really well played by First Blood Knights, and they are extending their lead on the top side of this map. This set is going from huge to huger, already up 35 CS and 2 kills at 7 minutes. Zamundo has a chance of just taking over this entire game as it stands.
Yeah, he's just trying to crash this wave into the tower, should reset onto the side. This is perfect for Zamundo right now. The wave will slowly push up against him. That means Teemo's going to be up against the wall, has that boots, has that cutlass now in tow. So when this pushes back, he can just zone him and freeze out against Teemo SEC again. And it is lights out in the top lane right now for Teemo. Gonna need some jungle intervention before this wave crashes and just gets frozen up against him.
Yeah, the one thing to note is that while that was happening, while Cinderbell was spending a lot of time sitting top lane, making that gank happen, is that Juiced Up Brennan was farming, was catching up. So this Jarvan has caught back up to this Trundle. He's back to level 5, both junglers are, and we've got a Mountain Drake going down.
He's in the pit, no one can take him down, goes over onto the side of Elkan. Now he's in the back, and Juiced Up Brennan is just behind the corner. Really nice Emperor's Divide, flashing behind it, needs letting the Panda gets out of it, but pulls the Grubbers back into the fray.
Yeah, neither jungler actually hitting the smite there. I think it was available for both of them, and it's actually Elkan on the Ezreal securing that Mountain Dragon with a 50 HP Mystic Shot. It does cost the Grubbers his life. That kill does go over to the Trundle. But if you're TTT, I think you're quite happy with the trade of 1 kill for Dragon. With the disadvantage you've got going on in top lane, you're basically hoping to play towards your scaling win condition already. Things can go wrong, they always can in a game of League of Legends, but at such an early deficit, you'd much rather just...
Oh no, Juiced Up Brennan gets countered on the flag and drag. Now he has to go over the wall. Showstopper, third kill going over to Zamundo. Didn't decide to freeze the wave. It's pushed back into Teemo, but that gives him a window to roam onto the map. Also, we saw the bottom side of that Elkan just securing that level 6, stealing a camp away from Cinderbell, meaning Cinderbell's getting a little bit behind the curve with that XP, but he'll slowly catch up.
Yeah, and another great play from Zamundo, just finding Juiced Up Brennan in the river. That's a flashless Jarvan, and the Facebreaker actually interrupts the flag and drag.
Cinderbell forcing the flash out of the Raccoon God in the middle lane. Pillar there just to slow things down as well. Zamundo's already been into the jungle. He's already taken the red buff as he looks to go top. Teemo SEC is on the wrong side of the map. Call of the Forge God probably going to be needed to be able to get out of that. He's trying to get the Billow's Breath down, just trying to kite away, but the red buff is now burning him down. Cinderbell comes back up top, and this is going to be another dead orb going over to the 4-0 Zamundo.
Really funny there, the Trundle shows up. Cinderbell just making the way into the top lane, getting that one little chomp to get the assist. That's actually a really good play if you can afford to do it. It does generate more gold. A kill is 300, a kill and assist is 450, so a free 150 gold by letting that Trundle take a bite out of the Ornn before he went down. Another great play from First Blood Knights. And now Zamundo is just ignoring Juiced Up Brennan to take a turret plate. This is a gigantic set.
Just got so much with that grit, with that healing. You just see the trade there. Finally, he goes into action. Level 9 to level 6. Nothing juiced up Brennan can really do. He's just trying to hold the line, hold the wave, stop the bleeding of the plates in the top lane. But Zamundo has such a big gold lead. Personal 5,000 to 2,500. He's doubling the gold currently of his top laner.
Yeah, and while Zamundo is generating that pressure top, forcing Juiced Up Brennan to answer the turret push, Sinibel wisely going ahead and just taking that Herald, so that's going to go the way of First Blood Knights. And it's hard to imagine a world where that Herald isn't getting dropped to take first turret top lane and unlock this set even more.
Moonlight Vigil used into the bottom lane. Doesn't quite get the kill on Zelkan, but he has to retreat. He does have the teleport to be able to get back. But this pressure of that Karma and that Aphelios is just giving them such a free lane to be able to push. That means that they're winning on both sides of the map. Pacey just getting out of Juice Up Brennan as he finally shows up. But AD carry is not there. We mentioned he can teleport, but there's only one more plate. And then the tower down in the bottom lane already at 11 minutes in the game.
Yeah, we've been focusing a lot on top lane because that's where all the kills have gone down, but this bot lane for First Blood Knights is also winning really hard. They don't have quite the CS differential, but they do have 4 plates to 0, and they do have 12 creeps, which is more than nothing. That's actually pretty substantial this early on in the game. That's going to be close to about half a kill's worth of gold. So combined with those 4 plates, this Aphelios is much stronger than the Ezreal. And of course, this set is insanely strong. And here is Sinibel, as expected, dropping the Herald.
Yeah, they're going top side with the Herald now. That'll crash in. That'll be more plates over into the gold for Zamundo and Cinderbell. They'll push it in for another tower as well, potentially. Dragon spawning in just a few moments. We'll have to see whether that gets picked up or not. But we do have Juiced Up Brennan into the bottom side of the map, just looking for a little bit of a trade, looking for an invade, finding what he can get done on that, because he can't get anything done in the top side of the map.
Yep, and the Herald does get that second bonk onto the top inner turret. Zamundo now free to roam about the country. With that turret gone, this set is open to going wherever he wants, and immediately you see taking Raptor Camp.
Juiced Up Brennan goes for the Catechism, but Pacey can just flat out of it. Now he's exhausted up by Landon, and the TPs have come in. Denny the Panda and Zamundo are already here. Zamundo's in the 3-man party, but he just doesn't care. He's so tanky. He's got the shielding. He pumps him back to the team that shows up as well. Now D Grubbers is on the front line. Empress Divide gets Raccoon got back into it, and the Dragon's gonna go over to First Blood Knights.
Perfect timing from First Blood Knights to punish some over-aggression from Team. That's exactly what Juiced Up Brennan is thinking. Let's gank bot lane, let's try and generate some kills so we can secure this objective. But it all goes backwards for them. The double teleport behind LK and Juiced Up Brennan and D Grubbers coming in from both Daddy the Panda and Zamundo. Set able to hold the 1v3 while the rest of his team is taking down Juiced Up Brennan. And then once the Jarvan is gone, it's at First Blood Knights fight to lose. They just mop the floor with Team. They get 4 kills for 0 and an Infernal Dragon for their troubles. They are huge. What a fight for them. And what a way to continue to snowball this lead. They'll even get the bot turret on the tail end of it. This is a massive lead, Rooktor. I don't think I've seen a bigger lead at 14 minutes.
Yeah, 9 kills to 0. All the towers up, 2 towers down on the side of First Blood Knights. They are just steamrolling through this right now, and it's all on the back of this invade by Zamundo, getting Juiced Up Brennan, rotating that, and now they're looking for Juiced Up Brennan yet again, who's just trying to get a little bit of a camp, but he's going to get rotated on. Pacey looking for the root, but here comes Denny the Panda on the flank. He comes over the wall, he finally gets the camp, he can potentially get the plant out, is on the chase, needs to just run for his life away. Level 8, he steals the camp though, so it is a win for him, and he gets out clean.
That's a bold play by Juiced Up Brennan, saying, I see that you are a support here, but I don't think the rest of your team is close enough, and I'm going to take this crump anyway. In a different world, there would have been a punish for that one, and Juiced Up Brennan's just disregard for the karma would have resulted in another death, but he does make the call. He decides, I'm willing to take this risk, and it pays off. With the price of 1 gromp, not exactly something that's going to get you back into the game, but when you're this far behind, every little bit of gold matters. So well played by Juiced Up Brennan, just trying anything. If that means stealing a gromp, then that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, we talked about maybe the slightly more scaling potential of Denny the Panda and Landon, and they're definitely hitting these marks. They're going to hit these marks so early. 28k 10k to 20 on the side. Teemo SEC now getting traded up again, but he just doesn't have the tank stats. He's a little bit low. Moonlight Vigil used, and the chakras just put into him and ripped apart in the top lane. Teemo SEC falling yet again.
That is a Season 10 champ moment right there.
Looking Cataclysm onto Pacey. He solo needs a little bit of help, but Landon's now in a 1v1. Tempered Fate comes out, does secure it. Now they're looking for the collapse, but Denny the Panda is on the call as well, just backing up his AD Gary.
And Team finally on the board. Juiced up Brennan finds a kill. It's on the support with no flash, and that's what you gotta be doing if you're Jarvan. You know you blew that flash on Pacey when you ganked bot lane before the dragon. So you say, I'm going to dunk you. I'm going to get this kill. If it's the last thing I do this game. Save the perfect game. Save the complete shutout. Get a little bit of gold flowing in. Trades generally favor you when you're this far behind. Of course, it is a trade where you're giving a kill to the tank Jarvan, and in return, the Aphelios gets a kill of his own. So something to look out for is Landon just going to get even stronger, first picking up the kill on Teemo SEC and then picking up the kill on Juiced Up Brennan. In that particular instance, I'm not totally sure it's worth it, but accelerating the game state when you're behind on a scaling comp, usually the right idea, and it's hard to say it was a bad decision for Juiced Up Brennan. Well played to get that kill, despite how far behind they are.
With this fairly heavy trading in the bottom lane as well, it's okay if you're trading and losing out a little bit on farm, like Landon isn't quite on that 10 CS a minute mark that Diamond players definitely can reach. But with all of these objectives going down, with the kills up, Landon isn't really suffering goal, but Elcan certainly is. Just sitting on this mana, 500 stacks on that, looking for that 750 mark for the conversion, but falling a little bit short now as well.
Yeah, and in this kind of quiet state of the game, we see First Blood Knights just trying to generate some pressure, push some waves in. They get the second Herald with that pressure, Cindyville able to pick it up solo. Trundle really good at soloing these objectives. And whoa!
Hex flashing over the wall, looking for Juiced Up Brennan. He can just retreat back, but he just can't get access to the river. That means another dragon's probably going to be going over the way to First Blood Knights as well, as I'll look to pick that up slowly, having taken that rift water.
Yeah, Rift Herald, always great to have before a dragon spawns. You can really use a Rift Herald to secure a dragon if you play it right, because Rift Herald, of course, generates so much pressure. You can drop it down mid lane, escort it up to a turret or two, and because there has to be an answer, or else we're just losing an inhibitor.
Lay the Rune King onto Elcan, just absolutely spikes him down. That was only like a couple of autos and the prop for Play the Rune King. He does now have that Triforce so strong on Zamundo. 2 items, 18 minutes into the game, is just completely warding out. That means the dragon is going to go over to Cindy Bell, who's just soloing it currently. They've got pressure mid, a pressure top from Denny the Panda, who has teleport if he needs.
That was 2 auto attacks for Khtora. That was Set walking up, proccing Blade of the Ruin King, pressing Q, and attacking Ezreal twice for 80% of his health bar. That's absurd. No one does that much damage. No one.
Zamundo does, again, finding Juiced Up Brennan. He's going to have to retreat. Showstopper over the wall as well. Forces the flash, but it's traded, and Zamundo bites it down for his 6th kill of the game. 700 gold shot down, but he's just so tanky. But he's got the damage items. He's just so tanky, no one can stop him.
Yeah, that set is officially a absolute menace for Team to deal with. It's going to be so hard to fight him. I said before the game, it's going to be a question of if Set can get into the backline. With this aggressive build, with Trinity Force for movement speed, Blade of the Ruin King to steal movement speed as well, that is not a problem for Zamundo.
Elcan doing everything he can under tower, has to flash away though as Cinderbell Hex flashes. Loving to see this Hex flash for Trundle, able to get over the terrain. It is really fun to watch Trundle channel that up. Goes over, they do take that bottom tower as the Rift Herald gets dropped. Now they're looking for this mid. We mentioned about the Raccoon God having that wave clear. If they did pick that Kassadin, this would be a very different game as this mid would have already fallen. Yeah,
this is where you see the Ziggs pick paying off. It's a question of if it's going to pay off enough here.
So much healing and shielding coming out there at Pacey. Has to be a little bit careful and conscious if he walks up into Ziggs, as the Raccoon God has farmed fairly well. Got that GLP as well, looking for the slows with that Glacial Augment.
Yeah, it's just going to be a slow flush. The issue for First Blood Knights, if you could call it one, is that they've won so hard and so fast. that there's not really objectives available for them to take. Baron isn't on the table until just now to extend their lead. It's really going to be the thing they need to actually push down against this Ziggs, because of course Ziggs does have so much wave clear. He is able to stall out the mid lane, but the turret has been getting lower. It has been dropping. Every time someone from First Blood Knights cycles through that mid lane, they're able to just get some chips here and there, and soon enough it is going to fall. Same goes for the top inner, which is on its last legs already. So First Blood Knights just kind of trying to keep going. They want more turrets, they want more kills, they don't want to take any massive risks. With the slowing down, of course, their gold lead becomes a little less significant, though it stayed the same. As you pump gold into the game, it becomes a smaller percentage of overall total gold. But with that said, 11k at 20 minutes is still almost unheard of, so nothing for them to need to worry about just yet.
Coastal, can we talk about the ward score here for the top lane of the window? But having said that, they have to have a dice. Cinnabelle just chomps into the towers. Grubbers has to flash away, but he's just getting chased down. Cinnabelle so tanky with that subjugate, and now Zamundo into the back end. Showstopper into the team. It's come down and into the waiting arms of Landon.
What an interesting fight from First Blood Knights. It starts with Cinnabelle just walking in and taking the turret, saying, alright, you think your turret keeps you safe, I'm gonna kill it. There's no minions here, I don't care. And then the cleanup coming in from Zamundo, walking in from behind the Raccoon God. You never expect the set to come from the direction of your own base, but that's exactly what happens. And that's another 2 kills and another turret for First Blood Knights. They finally cracked that mid-outer turret. That's going to free them up to really push into TTT's jungle even harder. Once that turret's gone, you have a lot more paths available. Invades become a whole lot safer. You don't have that mid-vision to worry about quite as much. And that's going to make growing, extending, and capitalizing on this lead that much easier for First Blood Knights.
I mentioned before that fight happened, the ward score here for Cinnabelle and Zamundo, they are just denying so much vision over on the side of Team that they're really struggling to get into it. Grubbers puts out another ward, more vision, but it's just going to get swept up again as he just can't contest the vision. Just against his level 14 Zamundo, he comes back in, he sees that there's a pink there, just going to instantly kill it, and no more vision in the bot lane yet again, but here comes the Raccoon God, into Cinnabelle, into Zamundo. And he just can't get anything done on the Ziggs if he isn't undertowered, waiting patiently.
Yeah, and once again, the Raccoon God finds himself getting surprised when the entire enemy team shows up behind him. You just can't expect that. Pushed up a little too far there.
Onto Landon, the knock up his head, exhausted down. The true shot barrage says, hello, Elkan. I can do this 1-on-1. Maybe a little bit of refuge. Got that Iceborne Gauntlet now. That's a good pick. Tempest Fate onto Pacey. This could be another pick. But Cinnabelle on the front line now, bullying Elkan away. Grubber's on the retreat as well. Deddy, where is Zamundo? Zamundo's in the back line on Juiced Up Running, forcing him out of the fight. Now he's 4v1, pushing back into the team as well. Cinnabelle gets Grubbers. Timo SEC has to retreat under the tower, but he's not tanky enough. Cinnabelle is just tanking it up. Zamundo in retreat there as well. Maybe going a little bit too big. They call it off. The Raccoon God goes for the Cataclysm, but he waits and he finally falls.
And that's a shutdown going over to Elkan. This Ezreal picks up 2 kills in that fight. One, a 500 gold shutdown from Landon, and then another, a 1,000 gold shutdown from Zamundo. And just like that, this Ezreal is one of the richest champions on the map, actually able to outgold his entire team by 1,300. Now close to being back on par with Landon. Unbelievably still behind 600 gold after being given 1,500. But it's something.
TP behind. And that is another dead Raccoon God, unfortunately. Nice Emperor's Divide just to get it back into the bot lane of his team. Now they're setting up. They've got the objective. They've got the mid laner, potentially with a little bit of poke there as well. They have so much confidence the First Blood Knights actually take down the Soul as well. Now they are pushing for this Baron ever aggressively, maybe looking for the third as well. Zamundo, they're peeling off a little bit. They are a little bit hesitant for this. They just don't have the poke of the Raccoon God as Juiced Up Brennan's already got in early. Has to flash away. That means he can't re-enter the pit. Tempest Fate to slow it down. Maybe the cooldown. He's got the clock to come back into. It's going to have to be a mammoth steal for Juiced Up Brennan, but it doesn't work. Now he's into the pit. Showstopper access to the back line for Zamundo as he just rips through the opponents of Team team. First Blood Knights going aggressively forward. Timo SEC just going to sacrifice his life as he splashes away. Elkan, a triple going over to Zamundo in the back end of it. Timo finally falls as well. And this is a rout for First Blood Knight.
A 5-for-0 ace, a dragon, and a baron for First Blood Knights. The fight wasn't particularly clean. They started the baron before their jungler was there. They had to sit around and tank it for a little while longer than they probably wanted to. But they are able to pick it up. Cindyville gets in, secures it with the spite. Two-Step Brennan misses the steal, and then once Baron goes down, it's just a slaughter because First Blood Knights so far ahead, so strong, they're able to run them down and just clean up the fight from there. Zamundo, even after taking so much damage, just too much of a threat. And Cindyville with this Hex Flash, saying walls are not a problem. It's gotten so much use this game, able to get into the fight as well and bully out Elkan and beat Grubbers. And just like that, First Blood Knights, they slip a little bit, they give over a couple shutdowns, then they say, actually, you know what, how about instead of doing that, we just take Baron and win the game. And that's exactly what they're going to be looking to do here. With the lead they have, they may as well be looking to close out the entire game right here. 15K gold lead at 26 minutes. It is massive, and they are so strong. It's hard to imagine that Team will be able to stop them.
15,000 gold at this point, 26 minutes in. They do have the Baron buff. They have that open inhibitor down to the bottom lane, so Zamundo could literally just walk into it. No one can trade 1v1 into him as he's finally finished that Death Dance as well. Looking for more tankiness with that Blimey Cinder. Stone Plate finished for Cindybat as well, so he can just tank up for days. Triple crit finish for Landon going on for that, but the engage comes in the minute. We get a pick for the Raccoon God onto Landon. Can't quite find it. Tempered Fate down onto Denny the Panda. He will be the next target. Goes down. And Relief here comes over for Team TT, but it's the front line. Zamundo trying to get in, but Cataclysm blocks him. This is more time for Elkan to dish out the damage. Now Zamundo is back into the back line. What can he find as he's just in the mix of everything? Finds a kill on Sea Clubbers, but will go down in the process. And a little bit of relief for Team Demons. Maybe they can claw this way back into the game.
Well, like I just said, you know, they're looking to close out the game, so what's going to happen? They're going to get 4 for 1, give over a few more shutdowns, and all but lose all of the Baron pressure they had. Team playing smart. They go for these fights when the set isn't there. Zamundo is so much of a lead, and they just look for Landon, they look for Pacey, they look for Deddy the Panda. They say, if Zamundo is not here, we can win these fights. They do have a lot of burst damage. This Ziggs putting out so much onto the Aphelios to start that fight off, and Elkan following it up means that they are slowly trying to crawl their way back into the game. It's still a 12k gold deficit, so by no means are they in prime position to win. But with the own items coming online, with FBK showing that they can bleed, maybe there's just a little bit of hope for TTT now. Maybe there's this optimism that, hey, we can win once, that we know they can misplay. The set keeps split pushing, so we can just engage on the rest of his team when he's not there. And maybe that's their way back into this game. The issue, though, Soul Point coming up in a minute, Baron coming up in another 2, and for both these fights, FBK are going to be in control.
Getting face check, gonna get knocked up and go down yet again to Elkan. Gets out with T-Gubbers as well as they now go forward. Moonlight Vigil just trying to find a little bit extra on the back end of it. Can't find D-Gubbers. Now they are a man short. This is good for Juiced Up Brendan as he goes in with the Cataclysm. Medical Fire over the top of it. Elkan picks up Denny the Panda. Now they're going aggressively. Tempered Fate catches the edge of Pacey as well. Going golden, but he doesn't want it to be back into the team. Elkan just pounding Mystic shots into the back end of it. Juiced Up Brendan gonna pick it up, and they've been routed again.
Yeah, it's another 3 for 0 for TTT, and it's just like the last fight. They just pick the fight when Zamundo isn't there. If the set isn't there to use his giant kill lead, they can fight, they can kill them. He's such a big team fight presence for FPK, and when they're able to engage 5v4 or even 5v3 with a pick on Cindyville, it's just kills. It's so straightforward for them to burst these squishy targets of Azir and Aphelios. And now Zamundo going down in the top lane, Dragon going over to TTT. They stall out the Soul Point. They get some more shutdowns. And what was a 15k gold lead 3 minutes ago is shrunk down to 10, and the Ornn items are still coming online. Ruktor, dare I say, I think we have a game all of a sudden.
Oh, we certainly do, yeah. We saw the Raccoon God teleport up to the top side, call the Forge God, you just to slow him down, get that prefix onto Zamundo. Couldn't quite trade into it as well. He was looking for the Raccoon God, but he kept his distance. And Teemo SEC just tanking up, keeping that control. Zamundo falls yet again. The fight there, that all spelled off Cinderbell just going a little bit too aggressive into the jungle, looking for that vision denial. But you just have to be a little bit more cognizant as we do get this scaling coming up for Team. If they do have numbers, if they can find these 1v1 kind of picks that they are finding, they do have ways to get back into the game. As we said, the Elcan picked up so much gold in the back end of that, and now he is ahead. He does have this armor fence. Cinderbell now looking for the engagement, looking for that pillar up into that Moonlight Vigil, onto the back end of it. Massive moves coming out. You start Brandon into the front line. Zamundo has teleported into the fight, but just retreating now. Still has a showstopper. Cinderbell at the back end of it. Can't quite find it. D Grubbers takes that magical journey away. But Teemo SEC on the front line. Big knock up, but he will finally go down to the Panda. Back end of it, Juiced Up Brennan looking for a flag interact with Showstopper. There's no trading for it. Now they are cutting back to Juiced Up Brennan. They find the kill, find the double kill over to Teddy the Panda.
Yeah, and FBK's frontline trying their best in that fight. It's like we said in draft, they actually do have difficulty getting onto this Ezreal in the Ziggs. Elcan and the Raccoon God relatively healthy through that entire fight. It's the Ornn and the Jarvan that have to be in the middle of FBK that finally go down. And FBK finally realized, hey, maybe we should fight with this set. Maybe he's pretty strong. So they're able to actually win a fight once Zamundo shows up, gets into the backline, causes that disruption. With that team fight, they'll get the Baron. They're going to look to hopefully try and close this game out once more. We saw how the first Baron went. They got wiped and lost all of their pressure with it. But maybe they've learned their lesson. Maybe they've realized, hey, playing around our 12-kill set, actually a great idea. And if they could just play it a little slower, wait for Zamundo to generate a little pressure, get into a flanking position, I think FBK are still in prime position to take control of this game once again.
Yeah, we actually almost saw a steal from the Raccoon God. Look for that Mega Inferno bomb. If he did have that death cap, maybe he can actually outsmite. He's doing about 1,000 damage in the center of that Mega Inferno bomb, so potentially a little bit more. He could have tried to steal that. Doesn't go that way. Cinderbell secures that. Now they can reset onto the map. Play things a little bit slower. Do not face check into bushes anymore with Cinderbell or Zamundo. Just want to play a little bit more slower. Try and work with your team. Team is into the bottom side, so that means Cinderbell can march up forward.
Yeah, and this is split pushing 101, is when you have someone in a side lane pushing the map, you kind of want to play at the same pace as them or let them be a little ahead of you. The idea is that you want to know where the enemy team is. You don't want to get engaged on as it's happening right now.
And the fade down, catches out Landers, who will fall first, but he's just life-stealing up, trades for the support. Now they're going forward as well. Juiced Up Bennett is tanking it up. We do have Zamundo, however, just taking down structures left, right, and center. He's got a flanking position for the Showstopper. Takes down the mid laner. Now Showstopper's onto Elcan as well. Just takes down the carries pretty much solo. Teemo SEC has no damage behind him. And it will go over the first one lights. They faltered a little bit, but they've managed to bring it home. Game number 1 goes over the first one nights against Team in the Dominate Premade finals here at Grizzly Esports.
Yep, and the split push finally pays off. The difference on that play compared to the ones where things went so wrong for FBK, Zamundo is actually pushed up ahead of the rest of the team. That way, if you see TTT collapse onto the set, then the rest of the team can push up and take an inhibitor. And if you see the rest of the team try and engage onto the bulk of FBK, Zamundo is already taking the Nexus turrets when the fight starts, and that forces it to back off immediately, even with a fantastic Tempered Fate and a pick onto Landon to try and start that fight off. Aphelios, just a very fun, fair, and balanced champion, actually able to trade despite getting caught that way, getting the kill onto D Grubbers before he goes down, and the rest of FBK still healthy enough to push in, and with Zamundo on the Nexus turrets, TTT were routed, they had to fall back, and Zamundo actually able to clean them up as they go towards those Nexus turrets. So though it was not the absolutely most convincing win for Game 1, it is still a fantastic early game, a few missteps, and then a convincing way to close the game out for FBK. And just like that, they are up 1-0 in this best-of-5 finals.
Yeah, exactly, Cole. So what a wonderful Game 1. First Blood Knights bringing it home against Team here. This is a best-of-5, so at least 2 more games to go. Hopefully we get a few more of that, but see if First Blood Knights can keep the ball rolling. We'll be right back with game number 2 here for the Dominate Premade finals at Risen Esports. Take care. Back in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to Game 2 in the finals here for the Dominate Premade series at Risen Esports. My name is Ruktor and casting with me this evening is Colslaw.
In Game 1, we saw First Blood Knights show absolute mastery of the early game. Their top jungle duo of Zamundo and Cindybell made Teemo SEC and Juiced Up Brennan look silly for the first 15 minutes of that game. They were able to turn that into objectives, TP plays bot lane, 2 Herald takes, some early dragons. They got a massive gold lead that, despite some misplays in the mid and late game, they were able to close it out and secure a victory for themselves. So, going into Game 2, we have a change in bans, Aphelios off the table, and that's answered with a Senna first pick instead.
Yeah, Teemo again blind picking this Ornn into top laner Zamundo, who played very well in game number 1, so aggressive, invading for that level 3 to level 2, and unfortunately Juiced Up Brennan. Now, they take away the Jarvan, however, so big change of bans. Orianna that got banned in game number 1 now gets picked up for FBK blind, or not blind, because they're potentially into Syndra.
Yeah, it's going to be an Ori Syndra mid lane. That's a lane where it's hard to say which champion really wins. They're both kind of good, safe picks that scale relatively well. There is always kill pressure with a bit of misplay. Both champions can put out a lot of damage. They both pair really well with ganks, with hard CC setup. Orianna Jarvan in particular is a really reliable combo. Jarvan, one of the best ball delivery systems in the game. He may not be Malphite, but he's pretty dang close. So, something from FBK, a little bit of a different look here, especially with set ban 2. It's going to have to be a different game from them, and I think that's exactly what TTT is looking for. If I'm TTT in this position, I'm saying, I think we played mid and late better than FBK did. All we need to do is not go down 15,000 gold at 20 minutes and we'll be fine. So they're just going to look to try and stall out early and scale once again. It's going to take some improvements in play from them. Juiced Up Brennan going to have to use his flash at level 2. The Teemo SEC going to have to just respect Zamundo when he gets the waves frozen. It's going to be difficult. They're going to need to play the early game a little better, but they do seem to have the team play on lock. Mid lane went fine for them. Bot lane lost, but not that hard, and it was a draft issue for their bot lane. I don't think that was so convincing that they won't be able to come back with something stronger early game and try and actually exert some pressure on that part of the map.
Yeah, exactly, Cole. So we do have the Senna that was actually first picks, banned away Tom Kench and Morgana potentially to pair with it. So we'll have to see sort of what they go down the line. Maybe a Fed Taric would be an interesting pickup for them. Gonna pick the Ashe as well. They did not want any of these hook champions, so Bard and Blitzcrank taken away. Braum, I actually quite like playing Senna into Braum. You can do a lot with that champion, so a little bit of flexibility here in the lane for them now to show their bot lane pairing with the Senna.
Yeah, Braum, I think, is also acting as a takeaway pick here. You're making sure that FBK can't snag the Braum, because Braum, in addition to being a relatively good protector of an immobile Senna, is an insanely good pick into that Ornn. When you put up the Unbreakable, you can stop the Ornn Horn before it even goes through your team on the first pass, and it makes Ornn very sad. So I think we're seeing that not only just as a support pick, but also as denial. It's been answered with some pretty interesting picks from FBK.
Yeah, it's going to be a Maokai farming support in the bot lane. Picks up the GP as well in the top side for Zamundo. I think first picking that Shenna really shows like, okay, we won top lane very hard in game number 1 for First Blood Knights, so they want to try and replicate that with the Gangplank into Ornn yet again. Gonna pick the Ezreal bomb bot lane into the Maokai and Senna. Ezreal very nice as he can arcane shift backwards when Maokai uses his W and tries to use that route, but you can take him into a disadvantaged position, take him too deep if he wants to go and take that road.
Yeah, and Arcane Shift is just a little too valuable into FBK's comp. With the Cataclysm, with the Shockwave, and with Gangplank as well, being able to just get out of and engage is really important for Elcan here. You do not want to find yourself flashless and trapped inside a Cataclysm with Jarvan IV. That is a bad time for any AD carry. And I think that's a massive improvement over something like Ashe, which may well have found itself getting dunked on cooldown, and though you have flash to save yourself 1 in every 5 or 6 times, those other 4 or 5 times would be a kill every time for FBK. So Ezreal, a good pickup. It is, of course, on the safer side, but that's exactly what TTT need. And into Senna Maokai, I think TT's bot lane is at less of a risk of losing so many plates and turrets so early in this game. And similarly, Gangplank, though a power pick for Zamundo, not exactly the lane bully set that we saw last game, though he does scale perfectly fine into Ornn, he can't really roll over that lane in the same way. He won't be generating 60 CS leads at 15 minutes. He won't be getting invade kills onto a jungle Elise. So Zamundo going to have to be playing a little slower, and FBK looks like they're just going to have to take this game at a different pace than they did last one, and I think that's exactly what TTT was hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. And Elkan back on this Ezreal played really well game number one, kind of lost lane graciously to Landon and Pacey with that strong Karma pick paired with that Aphelios. So I have to see how he can do. Got up to that Frozen Fist, got up to the power points, and really dealt a lot of damage in these sort of ensuing team fights, even though his team was substantially behind. So I have to see if he can replicate that this game. Needs to be aware that you do not want this Zen to stack on you as well, so wrong placement and Ezreal placement to not get too many stacks away means that you can mitigate a lot of power. With Senna not getting access to that farm, it really means that you are reliant on getting those stacks. If you can get up to that kind of like 80, 100 stack mark quite quickly into the game, you're in a good footing. But if you can get shut down, if you can get ganked that an Elise can do, we actually casted a game on Tuesday, I think, and they did go for that, and the Elise just camped them all way long. Juiced Up Brennan can do a lot of impact into this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Maokai Senna is not that safe of a lane. It does have a lot of lockdown, it does have some self-peel with that Shroud from Senna, but if an Elise shows up in that lane and paired with a Braum, they're able to get on top of Maokai. He is a melee champion with no escape, and though I anticipate that he will be farming and will be building towards tank items, you're just not going to be that tanky in the early game, which means that Maokai is a very vulnerable gank target. If his flash isn't available, then Juiced Up Brennan is going to be looking to capitalize on that. Try to turn that into some dragons. And you don't need to worry about top lane as much this game, because though Gangplank will be a scaling pick, he isn't going to be that much of an early game menace. You don't need to worry about him generating tons and tons of pressure. So I think FBK's bot lane is what TTT wants to set their sights to. Mid lane was a perfectly even lane last game, no changes necessary there. But if they can generate a lead, they can punish the immobile Senna, they can punish the immobile Maokai. Maybe TTT has a way to try and keep themselves afloat in this early game. And then with this Ornn, with the ornaments coming in once he's level 13, they'll be looking to outscale. I really like this draft from TTT. I think they've got a clear path towards getting into that mid and late game. And I think this is a great adjustment from them after how they lost game one.
Yeah, again, I look at these two comps, however, and First Blood Knights going for that slightly more AoE orientated team, whereas single target on the side of Team with that unleashed power of Syndra, with that Ezreal just using all of that poke at his disposal. So I have to see sort of how that affects Juiced Up Brennan. Definitely needs to have a little bit of impact to get his laners over the line to make sure the Raccoon God, who farmed very well in game number one, can keep up pace with Deddy the Panda as well. Try and always have kill threat onto Senna or Deddy the Panda or Jarvan if he goes in too deep.
Yeah, FBK's comp in what they've accomplished here is that they have more or less oppressed our comp. They have 5 really powerful teamfight ultimates. Maokai is maybe not quite as strong, but he's still a fantastic teamfighting champion with single target lockdown. If you can get a Cataclysm, a Shockwave, Gangplank ultimate on top of the 2 priority targets from TTT, they're going to have a bad time. FBK's teamfight is pretty potent. A level 13 Gangplank is going to be terrifying. He can burn through Ornn even with Ornn upgrades in the late game if he can connect some barrels. So FBK definitely drafting for this 5v5 teamfight this game. They've got the potential to win late game fights even when Ornn items have come online. They do have a clear win condition as well. It'll be interesting to see how these two teams face off in game 2.
Well, yeah, exactly. First Blood Knights taking game number 1 against Team. We'll be right back and see the unfurling of the series here for the Dominate Premade Finals at Risen Esports back in just a few. Hello and welcome back to the Dominate Premade Finals here at Risen Esports. My name is Rictor. Casting with me this evening is Coleslaw here for First Blood Knights Game 1 victors into Team on the red side.
Yeah, and just like in Game 1, well, we might have an invade. I'm going to have to be quiet if they do walk in, but we have interesting summoner spells. We have double Oh Boy. Oh, and Cindy Bell.
You don't want to face check a bomb. Flash forward for D Grubbers. Gets on that passive quickly casters blows. Forces the flash out Cindy Bell early on in the game.
Yeah, excuse me, I had to cough there right as I started talking. It is an interesting trade of flashes, support for jungle. I think you're
ready for this. Zamundo's ready for this yet again, showing Timo who is boss in the top lane. He is online, level 1.
Zamundo really embodying the Darius. When did it pick Darius? You know, it's Darius is the one waiting in the bush for you, not Gangplank. You're supposed to get the slow, and then you stack up the bleed, and that's when you get the kill. Gangplank not quite as threatening. As I was saying before, Cindy Bell prudently checked the bush and spotted out all of Team. We do have the double cleanse for Landon and Deddy the Panda. This is really only going to be for the Elise Cocoon. There is not a lot of cleansable CC from the side of FBK. It's Shockwave uncleansable. The Jarvan ult obviously uncleansable. You can't cleanse out of a Gangplank ultimate. It is really only the Maokai root. I'm Riptor. I confused myself.
The twisted advance of pacing? What are we on about here?
I'm talking about them cleansing their own CC, Rooktor. It's all gone wrong.
Pear-shaped in game number 2. You do see a little bit of an invade here for like Elcan struggling in lane against this aggressive Landon. Obviously, when you are not CSing, you can just go for the poke on center. Really affords you a lot of control. And we said that the Braum can't really punish that. If you cannot get those stacks, you cannot really trade into that. City of the Bell a little bit late to the blue buff here, but he goes in anyway onto Juiced Up Brennan, trading level 2 to level 2, man to man, but here comes D Grubbers, trading away, flash over for the Raccoon God, and he'll pick it up, ignite, and flash used on the mid laner.
Yeah, and already it's a dramatically different early game for the side of Team. They're, instead of giving up the first blood in the jungle, they are getting it, and instead of the top laner, it's mid. But Cindy Bell on the invade without the flash, just a little too aggressive. Wow.
Raccoon got in the mid lane, punts down for another kill onto Denny the Panda. No cleanse will help you out of that.
Well, as I was saying, it's going a whole lot different. This time last game, it was Zamundo with 2 kills. Instead, this game, it's the Raccoon God on the Syndra. As I was saying again, it's Cindy Bell on the invade without the flash. When you lose your flash level 1, you really shouldn't be going into the enemy jungle. There is always just that risk of getting collapsed on, and now you see the Jarvan getting invaded. This is a level 2 Elise still.
Yeah, has the red buff. Timo is there already, repelled down to safety of that. Deddy the Panda on the roam as well, looking for Juiced Up Brennan. No repel yet. Doesn't quite land the flag and drag, but he's got the slow. Deddy the Panda should be able to secure this back onto the spider. Finally does. Up into the top lane though. Zamundo trading ever so slightly back onto Timo SEC.
Another invade from a jungler without flash, and another backfire. You would think you would have learned the lesson from the moment it just happened earlier, but this time it's Juiced Up Brennan going down, thinking, well, Cityville died in my jungle, maybe I can get to this Gromp and get it. I have Repel to get out, but with the Raccoon God in base and Deddy the Panda able to collapse.
Really nice splash and drag in the mid lane. Cindy Bell gets the stun up on that, but is very low. Has to base already. Got that lost chapter, so doesn't have any heal pots. He's going to be at this for a long time. Trading for this bottom lane skull though. Juiced Up Brennan looking for Cindy Bell. The dual reward Raccoon God. They could potentially take this 2v2. Then the Panda level 3. Does have the level lead on the Raccoon God. Going to be missing a big wave here. Then the Panda can find something. Nice stun there. Trading that health bar. Free trade for the Raccoon God. Equalizes it in the mid.
Yeah, and that Electrocute putting in so much damage. And it's been a lot of fighting here with the mid-jungle duos. It's been a lot of miscoordination from them as well. Every time the jungler goes for an invade, it seems like the mid laner is the second one there. They're not ready to back up. They don't have the priority. When you're jungling and you don't have flash, you want to be going in while your mid has prio, while your mid can beat the enemy mid to the punch. Every invade we've seen this game has been the opposite of that. It's been an invade while the mid is backed, while the mid is pushed in. And without flash, that means that it's very, very hard to play safely. is once again.
City Bell going in yet again, but they're now looking. The double route goes onto Elcan, has to flash away on the other side of it. Now that means D-Grubbers is tanking up, but the Fangs will sink in and Cindy Bell will finally fall juiced up Brennan. D-Grubbers solo, but a teleport coming down, getting matched as well. Nelly the Panda is here. No shockwave as this is still so early on in the game as they rotate down and Landon cleanse away, but will pick up D-Grubbers in the process.
And another invade from Cindy Bell, going in, still with no flash, comes up on the very tail end of that play, and it is the TTT bot lane that...
Zamundo is here, onto the Raccoon God, Timo SCC is there as well, flash for that, gets the shutdown, but now he's in no man's land, with no retreat. Denny the Panda, still level 4, looks for a little bit, can't quite find Elcan, who is now retreating away, juiced up Brennan is level 3, no one is getting levels as they're never in lane.
Everyone's just inside the enemy team's jungle. It's non-stop fighting, Ruktor. Why won't they just calm down? It's been madness. Everyone has to be fighting, scrapping, trying to catch someone off guard on their part of the map. It's a fun play from Zamundo to get that kill, but there's no way the Gangplank is ever getting out of that one. At best, it's a trade. It's a solo kill for an assisted kill, and so Team come out on top of that. Gold on Gangplank is very valuable. You can try and justify it by saying all Gangplank wants to do is accelerate his game state.
Cindy Bell up into the top side, forces the flash from the flash and grab it, traded for Cindy Bell as well, looking for a little bit more burn. The healing coming out with the corrupting potion, gonna save him, but now they're collapsing. Juiced up blood and wants more blood. More fighting of the junglers, but the Raccoon block matches. He has that level 6, doesn't even need it as it's gonna be gifted over to Timo SCC.
And disaster for Cindy Bell once again, blowing the flash aggressively, trying to use the red smite to secure the kill. But that Ornn was just healing up with the corrupting pot and biscuits in inventory. Timo SCC was just a little more tanky than he looked. So Cindy Bell way too deep at that point with a Syndra and an Elise there to punish, going down yet again. And this Jarvan has 3 deaths at 7.5 minutes. That is not what you want to be doing in the jungle. You want to have 3 kills at 7 minutes, and dying just a sign of uncalculated aggression here, and it's being punished really well from TPT so far.
Yeah, nice power spike for the bottom lane of Landon, getting that kill on D-Gubbers as well. Trading up on the stacks, they have a lot of free fire in this lane, so maybe they can pivot around that. CS lead now very large on the side of Zamundo as Timo SCC is contesting, struggling, burning that flash as well. But junglers yet again are trading. A repel goes up and he comes back down. Gonna be trading for this scuttle in the bottom side.
Yeah, so one other thing to observe, while maybe the fighting will calm down with TTT recalling, is we do have some big CS differentials coming out so far this game. It's the Raccoon God ahead in mid lane by 17 CS. It's Zamundo once again up by a lot in top lane. That's going to shrink a little bit with this massive wave crashing, but Team SCC going to be struggling to capitalize on all of these creeps. And then even more interestingly, we actually see Pacey out farming Elcan in the bot lane. It's a farming Maokai versus an Ezreal, and the Maokai is last hitting better than the Ezreal is. Something you really wouldn't anticipate. I'm not sure exactly what's gone on in this lane to cause that to happen, but that's a good sign for the FBK bot lane if your Maokai support is out farming the enemy AD carry. Senna still working on getting stacks. Of course, they do come in pretty slow this early in the game, but already at 32 for Landon at 9 minutes, which is not a terrible pace at all.
No, it's actually really good, and I think it's off the back of the fact that this Brom pick D-Gubbers can't really punish this Senna too well with this farming Maokai just trading up into there. Already got that Barbie Cinder, that's such a wonderful point. That means that they have so much control of this lane. Always going to be shoving, always going to be pushing, but that's not a bad thing into the Ezreal.
Trades going down in top lane. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Braum is a takeaway for the Ornn, but it is not the punish that you need. And here comes juiced up Renan.
Nature's Grasp just getting a little bit of a root and another root onto D-Gubbers, but here comes juiced up Renan looking for the stun, trying to get down onto Pacey. The shielding coming out of Dawning Shadow as well. Maybe going to secure the back end of that. Landon looking for a little bit extra. Here comes the Raccoon God, level 8. Doesn't quite land the slow. Maybe doesn't need it. Flashes away though, so the Raccoon God can't even find the unleashed power, but in the top, it's more trading. Zamundo gets a heal with the orange. doesn't quite find it, and he's actually gonna go down as he was taking minions.
The minions, the MVP for Teemo SCC, brilliantly played from the Ornn, calling in the horn at the last moment, stepping right outside of the cannon barrage. And that, my friends, is what happens when you get a little too aggressive against everyone's favorite mage, Death Knight Paladin, Hunter, Rogue Warrior, Enchanter, Tank, Bruiser, Wizard, Warlock, Priest, Stats, Gunslinger, Druid, Shaman, Necromancer, Ninja, Gunslinger, Bard, Monk, Robot, Conjurer, Blacksmith, Mystic, Warden, God, Illusionist, Templar, Wizard. You fight him, you dive him, and you get burned. He just does so many different things well. And Zamundo, a little too greedy, going to go down because of it.
Yeah, wonderful double move in the bottom lane as well. A little bit of a shout out, wonderful little bit of a play there for the color. And control into the bottom lane. Rift finally picked up for Cindy Bell as well. Where will he be looking to drop this?
Yeah, it's interesting is even with that solo kill going over, Zamundo actually still in the driver's seat in this top lane, does have a plate, and with how they played game one, I think it's pretty obvious that FBK is playing towards a win condition of Zamundo carry, so seeing the Herald dropped anywhere else would be a bit of a surprise. It wouldn't be a mistake to go bot lane and try and get first turret with that, but wow, that Ornn trading so favorably into the gangplank now.
Yeah, 2-0-1 yet to die, so doing really nicely in the top by absorbing so much damage along with that health coming out with the giant spell, and just a Sheen and that Phage for damage. When that does come to Triforce, might be a little bit of a different matter, but they are trading down onto the bottom side, looking for this first dragon of the game. 12 minutes into the game, a little bit slow for the dragon takes, but finally goes over and is awarded to Team GG.
Yep, so overall it's a trade of objectives. It's not quite at the same time, but Cindy Bell takes the Herald and Juiced Up Brandon responds with a Dragon. So it's even objectives for these two teams.
Oh, maybe a little bit of an all-in in the mid lane. Comes out with the Shockwave, just disengaging. No Unleashed power yet. Didn't think he had the kill range onto Denny the Panda.
Yeah, lots of trading going down everywhere. That is actually Ori ult for no Syndra ult. The Raccoon God having a little more pressure now. Saving Mobley.
They're going onto the Raccoon God. The Maokai is there as well. The shielding comes out of the center. Denny the Panda looking for D-Gubbers. Going forward, Cindy Bell just tanking it all up. Goes Golden, forces the flash out at Alcan. That means D-Gubbers is gifted over to Landon as well, as finally First Blood Knights control the bottom map.
Yep, and that's a great play from FBK. They just had more strength there. The Jarvan able to get on.
And Ignite used from the spell, but flashed away from. Now he has to be careful. The tower aggro comes down, forces the flash out as well from the Karen and Mirage, looking just to chase down. Maybe the Mino can find something a little bit extra, but Recall's in the top lane.
Yeah, now it's Teemo SCC getting a little too aggressive. Does have the TP to get back to lane. It doesn't actually look like he's using it. That's a little interesting. I think the recall is the right play every time there. But it is going to be the Herald on bot lane. Cindy Bell finally finding that first turret.
Oh, the knock-up under tower. Somebody has to be so careful. He falls yet again. Going too aggressive under tower. Getting into the range. Teemo SEC has the burst with the brittle. Rift tower popped into the bottom. Will mean that the tower goes down. Trinity Force finally picked up, but Zamundo needs to be careful with his food in the top lane. Teemo SEC fighting back.
Don't make me say it again, Rooktor. Ornn does so much. He may not have health, but one of those many classes he has is Assassin, and he will burst you if you step a little too close. Zamundo trying to push the advantage, trying to leverage that bigger health bar to get some plates, get some minion waves that aren't able to be farmed by Teemo SEC. But that is an Ornn, and he is able to get down the knockup, get the brittle proc, and kill Zamundo for a second time. And just like that, this gangplank is behind. The Ornn with 3 kills, able to hold on, only lost 1 plate through all of laning phase, and now that plates have fallen, that means that Teemo SEC is able to keep up with Zamundo for now. Of course, the Gangplank passive is still giving him more gold. He will still scale insanely well. He's waiting for that level 13 breakpoint, but both champions are. When Gangplank hits 13, so does Ornn, and that means that these two are going to be duking it out for a while.
Yeah, Juiced Up Brennan actually going to be face checked by Zamundo. That means a backup could potentially come. Maokai in the top lane as well as Senna. They're shutting down this play from Juiced Up Brennan.
Yeah, it's interesting that FBK are going to rotate their bot lane all the way up here. They did get the turret down bot, so it is natural that you're going to try and generate some pressure, extend that lead. There's no way they can safely farm with how pushed the wave is in bot. So they're just rotating. They're going over the map, seeing what they can do. It's not going to be a whole lot with no objective available. Herald's not for another minute. Dragon's not for a minute and a half. So Senna and Maokai just kind of meandering, trying to see what they can accomplish. I think it does make sense for them to eventually settle in mid lane. That's a great lane assignment for this Senna, especially if someone's there farming as well.
Shockwave use. Denny the Panda has no mana, gets slowed up by the Concussive Blows. Looks for the ultimate as well as Glacial Fissure comes down. True Shot Barrage, but it's the Raccoon God securing it in the bottom lane.
It's an interesting idea from Denny the Panda. Go try to steal the blue buff. The issue, there's a Braum there, there's a Syndra there. You are not 1v1. And then a bit of an unnecessary flash from the Raccoon God in all honesty, but still going to be a kill.
Zamundo is all inning yet again. Cindy Bell on the flanks as well. Call the Force God just to try and call off the play, but here comes the Cataclysm coming down, and Teemo SEC can't survive the relentless push coming out of the top lane here from First Blood Knights.
Yep, and finally, it's the Jarvan there to help out that Gangplank. It's been the 1v1 for a while, and Gangplank's been barely losing it. With an added Jarvan the fourth to the mix, that means that it is a kill this time. Zamundo, what are you doing, buddy?
Calculated plays, Coleslaw. Calculated plays all the way from Zamundo. Playing with the hearts and minds of us all. Rift Herald second on the map, getting taken by First Blood Knights as well, as their top laner has to recall. But Juiced Up Brennan in the bottom lane looking for Denny the Panda, gets the deep down, and that is the unleashed power. Hasty can't quite match. Traded for SEC as well in the bottom.
Yeah, and so that's going to be a kill, a good dive from Juiced Up Brennan. With the Dragon up now, that should be a Cloud Drake for TTT. They do lose the Herald, that's where Cindy Bell is while that play is going down. So it's another swap of kills and a swap of objectives. The one difference is that on the start of that play, FBK do get the top turret and TTT do not get the bot turret. So at this point, they're actually down a reasonable margin of 3k gold, much better than where they were at this point last game, and they did play some of these mid-game fights very well, so they should be a lot more comfortable than where they were. But still, you don't want to be down gold. You're down 2 turrets and a lot of farm across the map that's making the difference here. The Gangplank over the Ornn farming is making a huge difference on this map so far, and that's going to be the advantage for FBK so far in this game.
When he died for the second time, it was 400 gold down Teemo SEC was, but now it's 7,200 to 5,200, 2,000 gold in the top lane. That means Zamundo can now push pretty relentlessly in the side lane with confidence, finishing that Triforce, looking for that Essence Reaver second item as well. This ARAM style for Senna on the Landon, really nice, just stacking up to 63 as well, so just going great guns on the Senna, just slowly getting that lethality through with that second serrated Dirk.
Yeah, and for FBK, it's going to be about leveraging this Gangplank split push. It seems like the Ornn isn't quite able to hold on. That may change once he hits 13 and gets his upgrades, but...
Fight down onto mid lane. Here comes the Cannon Barrage looking under the tower. Repel gets flashed as well for Juiced Up Brendan, and he just can't. Double Shockwave, however, Elkan solo. Astro Street, Dawn in Shadow, doesn't quite find it as Teemo SC tries to go forward, gets through up, and a knock up there for Cindy Bell. Hasty will take it down, and all the while in the bottom lane, Rift spawn in the mid. This is pressure now for First Blood Knights as they're really looking to open up the map.
Yeah, and it's extended.
Panda flashing forward there as well. Denny Brothers, Cataclysm under the second tower. Denny the Panda looking solo. Finally going to go down to Elise. Pushing forward, Landon trying to find a little bit of something. Juiced Up Brennan finds, but here comes the healing out of Landon, keeping the Maokai alive. The Raccoon God gets rooted up, will fall as well, and it's all broken open. Triple kill going over for Landon.
So many different things going on. It's hard to keep track of every single one of them. Looked like Pinksy was tanking turret, baited Juiced Up Brennan into time. There's a kill.
Elkan looking for the 2v1, looking for Landon. The minions are there as well, can't quite find it. And Landon picks up the 4 kill, 6-0-2, as Elkan does manage to find the jungler.
Yeah, and it's just a messy fight from both teams. Not a whole lot of coordination from either one of them, but it is FBK coming out on top. Just tons of damage coming out of Daddy the Panda on this Orianna. Zamundo actually in bot lane for most of that play. Landon putting in the work, Pacey frontlining very effectively, Cindy Bell with an effective Cataclysm. They're able to get the kill advantage going again. They're able to take the mid turret. They're able to take the mid inner on the tail end of it. That's another 2 turrets and a few kills going in their favor, and the gold lead grows to a convincing 7k at 20 minutes. FBK finding themselves in the lead yet again. There's no major objectives on the map, but with Dragon spawning in 2 minutes and Baron now available, though hard to take with Ascena, FBK going to be trying to continue to generate some pressure with this Gangplank split push. He is only 1 level away from his major breakpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Coastal looking strong on this Gangplank, looking for the top of the edge. Does face check a push, however, and the True Shot Barrage comes over the top. Shut down. Goes over to Juiced Up Brennan as now they have priority over this Baron buff. That is a lot of damage. That is a lot of their lead. Teleport is available for Zamundo if he needs to come back in. We do have Daddy the Panda bottom side though. He does have that cleanse. That means that he can't answer this play if they look to rush it.
Yeah, this is a kill for TTT, and with the Orianna bot side, Baron is a potentiality here. Ori going to have to walk up as quickly as possible, but instead of taking it, it looks like FBK going to try and bait it, but they're going to get spotted out.
Pacey now on the front lines. Landon maybe caught out a little bit unawares. Denny the Panda holding the line, just wants to look for this shockwave coming through. Glacial Fisher doesn't really find too much as Pacey is just tanking up the front line magnificently. Denny the Panda is a little bit low, but D-Governors has to disengage. But Cindy's Bell goes forward yet again. Pushing forward, Landon goes godline. Juiced Up Brennan full. Timo SEC gonna be next on the front line. Raccoon God maybe looking to find something. Already used that unleashed power. Gonna go down to the double kill of Zamundo. Now Elkan trying to kite back, but Zamundo so strong with red buff. Looking to get the last little bit of a block. Finally does it with that parlay.
And that Baron bait is a utter disaster for TTT. They think with the kill, with the Orianna bot side, we can try and force something, we can try and generate a lead. The issue is that FBK just didn't respond to it for a while. And by the time they finally went in to check on the bait, Zamundo was alive again, had teleport available to get into the fight, and it goes their way. Not a lot of coordination from TTT to try to punish the face check. You see a lot of whiffed or missed, whichever one you want, whiffed crucial abilities, and it ends up with them losing the fight convincingly. It's a 5-for-1 ace, it's an inhibitor going down, and FBK extend their lead even more. They'll be able to take this mid inhibitor, pull off to the Infernal Drake, and now they can look towards Baron as the last objective on the map. Maybe TTT gonna try and rush it down. They've learned what happens when they bait it. Maybe they'll try and take it instead. FBK gonna have to answer this as well.
They don't have the strongest Baron take though. Rushing is definitely a word. Blue buff going over to the Panda. That means that he is regenerating. They're definitely going to be contesting over to this. A lot of their ultimates still available as well. Landon doesn't have his, but all the rest are up. Zamundo takes a big chunk. True Shot Barrage doesn't quite find anything, but they've disengaged from the fight. That's what they needed. We now have supers down the mid. We have Wave stacked up into the top side. This means it's bad for Team TT to stay around. But Sydney Bell's gone too aggressive. He's gone over the wall without his team, and he just kind of runs it down into the enemy. Unfortunately, that means that the reset doesn't quite happen for the side of First Blood Knights. Need to be a little bit careful. They are a man down. That is their jungler. That is that Baron pressure.
There are plays that make you wish you were in games you could give a question mark thing, and that is unfortunately one of them. I think Cindy Bell thought, I see a 5-man clump, I see a possible engage, let me go for it, but it does not work out at all.
Shockwave is missed, however, Zamundo tanking up the front line against Juiced Up Brennan, and D-Rubbers gonna not get stunned up by that concussive blows as well, so that's a little bit delayed. A little bit of a wraparound for Timo SEC, but he's caught up, he's been rooted, now Pacey is just providing that CC, he just can't go anywhere, as another kill, 8 kills, goes over to Landon. He's stacked up magnificently, already at that 97 mark, hitting that 100 mark. That is such a wonderful point for Landon to be. They are now starting this Baron buff. We did mention that this Baron take is a little bit low, but up in the top lane, they've traded. Pacey goes back in, and it's 2 kills for 1.
Yeah, and this is going to be Baron for FBK. It's all up to Juiced Up Brennan to make the hero steal. There is a Blast Cone. He is in the area hiding behind the red buff. The Blast Cone gets popped. It's up to this Elise. If he can't steal this, it's going to likely be game, and he is in trouble with Landon over the wall.
Backed up is there. Landon was a little bit low, but Cindy Bell just comes over the wall, lands the knockup. Pacey in tow as well. Looking for that now. They can just rotate up to this Baron buff, finish it down. A little bit of a slow take as we see, but the healing coming out of Landon as well. It just means that they can secure that for First Blood Knights. They can now rotate this open inhibitor mid. They can push down with that bottom side with this very strong GP. Now finishing that Infinity Edge. Also going for that extra crit. So he's full on crit gangplank coming out there. They can rotate the rest of the 4-man unit up to that top side to take out that second tower.
Yeah, and FBK now extending their lead even more. It's up to 10k gold. They have the Baron. We saw this last game. It's actually been, I mean, the fights have been messier, but the results have been a little cleaner. We don't see them getting wiped. We don't see them losing their Baron buffs this game. They've actually been able to generate a lead through every play the game thus far. They're playing around this gameplay even better than they did the set. And so with this Baron, I think they're going to be looking to push to crack the rest of TTT's base and perhaps end the game if they can get a good fight. They do have a level 13 Gangplank online. This Senna has hit 100 stacks. Landon, a absolute beast on an 807 Senna. And this Maokai incredibly tanky as well. Not on a support's income at all with 150 CS. So lots and lots to worry about if you're TTT. It's hard to get to the people that matter. And this is going to be a Baron push for the game.
Those barrels are now critting for 1,000 damage each time if anyone gets caught into that. Elcan only has 1,500 health. You can pretty much just get one shot by it. But the engagement coming out, the disengage here for First Blood Knights, and they're looking for the re-engage now. Cataclysm comes over to the repelled Spider, who will come back down, will fall. That goes over to the window. Shockwave onto one. Decommerce, but that just gives Pacey access to the back line. A bit of a re-engage for Team SSC, but now he's unawares. Landon comes over, goes golden onto the Raccoon God, but the engagement comes out. Pacey very, very low. Can secure it? No, because Landon is so strong, just zoning out for the support. Pacey on this Maokai just on the front line. There should be the game, the second game, going over the First Blood Knights against Team here at the Dominate Premade Finals of Risen Esports. Looking so strong, finally getting over the line at 13 gold.
Yeah, and it was a good desperation fight from TTT. They're just so far behind. They try to force it. They're not able to get it right, and they do go down just too far behind. And once again, FBK close out a game before 30 minutes. They've looked really good so far through games 1 and 2. It's going to be up to TTT to make major adjustments for this upcoming game 3, or it is going to be First Blood Knights taking the Dominate Premade Championship.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what those changes are. As we said, the Braum not really effective shutting down that Senna in lane. You can maybe play something a little bit more aggressive. So much fighting in the jungle early that levels really didn't come very thick and fast as people were just rotating around the map, trying to resurrect their junglers into the game. But ultimately, it does go over to First Blood Knights. 2-0 lead against Team here. We'll be right back for game number 3. Hello and welcome back to Game 3 here for the Dominate Premade Finals at Risen Esports. My name is Riptor and casting with me this evening is Coleslaw.
Yeah, and we're getting into Game 3 of the Dominate Finals here. This is do or die for Team. If they're going to pull it out, it's going to have to be a reverse sweep. First Blood Knights were so dominant in Games 1 and 2. We've seen some massive goal leads from them, and they have won convincingly both times. Not without some missteps and faltering, but still, it's never really been out of their grasp, and they have done incredibly well so far in this series. Team going to be absolutely forced to make some adjustments here. And I think the biggest one, Rooktor, is that we need to see them do something different in top lane. Both Games 1 and 2, it was Zamundo completely running over Teemo SEC, and they're going to need to draft differently, play differently, lane swap something. Because if it goes that way again, it's hard to imagine a world where TTT are able to win the game.
Yeah, you're right, Coleslaw. However, they were on the red side previously, so they always had that guaranteed last counter pick. They were blind picking the Ornn. But now FBK can definitely say, all right, we'll hold back on our last top lane pick. We'll see what they're playing into. So they'll always guarantee that counter matchup now. So we'll have to see how they interact with that. We're going Ezreal Nautilus in the bot lane here for FBK. They actually banned out the center, which I'm surprised that they did against Team.
Yeah, I think the center ban is just because they don't want to see it first picked. And with the Aphelios banned as well, Ezreal is the next priority pick in this series. He's been played by Team both games so far. Elcan has been very effective on the Ezreal, to his credit. And so FBK going to not deny him that pick, force them to play something that's a little riskier. In this case, it's going to be the Kai'Sa, so something that you can try to lock down and punish in the early game. With a Nautilus, that is absolutely in the cards.
Yeah, quite a low-range champion on Kai'Sa, which means that Nautilus can definitely get into range of that. Can I have that safety of that Lantern from Thresher? That is quite a nice pairing to potentially mitigate some of that aggression coming out of the Nautilus. But here we go with Renekton, which was more than likely going to be in the top lane, probably against Set. So we'll have to see how that matchup goes. Yet to, I think, see Zamundo on the Renekton, but definitely an aggressive champion. Can build that Blade of the Rune King yet again into Set, so we'll have to see how that matchup goes as time goes on, and if Teemo SEC can pull it through.
Yeah, and we actually saw Renekton as a first rotation ban in Game 1. It's something that Zamundo can pull out, and it actually pairs quite well into Set with the shield shattering on his W. He can break right through the massive shield that Set gets and do a whole lot of damage to him while he's immobilized. A lot of the value from Set going for that is that he does get a huge shield, so even though he CCs himself, any damage onto him while he's stuck there doesn't really count. But if Renekton can break that shield instantly, then Set trades pretty unfavorably. And it's a good pick for Zamundo, so I'm interested to see this laning phase. I don't think I'm convinced that this is the answer that TTT needed. Set definitely a little better in lane, but Renekton a solid counter and something Zamundo is going to be comfortable on. I'm a little worried for Teemo SEC. Maybe being on something other than Ornn will just unlock his potential as a top laner. You have to hope so if you're TTT.
Yeah, the question is whether or not they now make the decision to rotate Set into the jungle, which they could potentially do. Cinderbell, Juiced Up Brennan has a relatively deep champion, but probably playing that Elise Jarvan or Kayn has been sort of favored. Taking out the Elise and banning the Kayn sort of puts him on Jarvan duty, but unfortunately they ban that, so he's going to have to be a little bit creative with his pick here, see what they play into it, maybe a Sejuani or the Olaf coming out actually, which will be interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be Olaf top, so that'll be Set top and Olaf jungle. So it is that Set Renekton lane. Olaf, of course, a fine jungler. He pairs reasonably well into Elise. He can clear out the little spiderlings with a single axe, which means that he can take good trades against Elise if they're just smacking each other's faces. And then the Orianna being hovered, that being a denial pick as well. It was what FBK went with last game, and it was reasonably effective, so trying to take that away, though it does of course allow FBK to counter pick in the mid lane for this last pick of the draft.
Is Cassiopeia the right pick here? I've got that or Diana, but it could be something definitely new, and Pantheon is the call. The aggression in the mid lane into the Orianna. This is a little bit hype here, Coleslaw.
Yeah, this is the kind of pick you pull out when you're up 2-0 in a best of 5. You say, all right, let's not just win, let's absolutely roll them over. Renekton Pantheon, your 2 solo laners. That is a massive amount of early game power. FBK trying to speedrun this finals with this draft. They're looking to win this game before 25 minutes if they can help it. They will fall off hard, but with this draft, I don't think they're concerned about getting there. This is going to be all about how long TTT can hold on.
Yeah, exactly. Olaf is a very good early game jungler, however, and can mitigate a lot of what Elise wants to do and what Pantheon wants to do with those roams. If Olaf can shut him down, if they can get a lead on this Olaf and rotate around the map, make sure that Set is in a good place. And the roams with Thresh can be really great. It's just about leaving that Kaiser in the bottom lane. You just can't do that, unlike that Bard pick.
Yeah, this is... I think this is a game that will be decided. I mean, you can spend a lot of time analyzing the way the different interactions will go, but I think fundamentally this is a matter of, can Renekton win lane? Can Pantheon win lane? It's a flowchart. If yes, FBK wins. If no, FBK loses. Both teams relatively strong in the early game. TTT definitely has just a little more late game potential with this Orianna, Kai'Sa, and Set. All 3 of them do scale just a little better than their counterparts on FBK. They do have to worry about Pantheon and Renekton diving them. Renekton can get onto a Kai'Sa and blow her up at any point in the game. But I really do think this is a game that will be decided by the way early laning goes. If we see solo kills start flying off the table, that's going to be dangerous.
Exactly. Of course, there's so much aggression coming out of FBK with this Pantheon mid pick. Very much AD heavy, so I have to see how many Ninja Tabis come out on the other side as well. There's so much CC, so maybe that Merc treads as well. You can trade potential between that, whether or not you do take that armor or you really do favor that tenacity. It definitely makes you think about the your choices.
Yeah, I mean, objectively, right? FBK's comp is pretty terrible, right? Like, there are a few redeeming qualities to drafting Renekton top, Pantheon mid with an Elise jungle and an Ezreal ADC. You have so much physical damage. You don't have the way to really shred through tanks. You're exposing yourself to a lot of vulnerabilities. You're really taking a lot of risks you don't need to take. But at the same time, you've won games 1 and 2 super hard. You've demonstrated that you have the capacity to win and smash your lanes. Both games have been a massive top differential. Why not go for it, Rookdor? Why not just see, like, all right, sure, they can stack armor. They can build Ninja Tabis on 4 out of 5 champions. Like, we'll kill them anyway. And I think that's what FBK is saying here.
Yeah, definitely testing the limits of what they can do. We mentioned that Team had quite nice macro play in game 1 and could potentially use that in game number 2. But it was that middle lane push with the Rift Herald that really opened up the map. Suddenly we saw Landon get so many kills up on this center, and it just sort of like mitigated so much of that. Zamundo as well, finally cashing in on a few of the kills, getting that big numbers lead over onto Teemo SEC. So hopefully Set with this Teemo SEC not blind picking this Ornn can do something into the Renekton Zamundo, looking for that top lane pressure and looking to rotate that around the map potentially in the later stages of the game.
Yeah, that's going to be the name of the game for TTT. All eyes need to be on Teemo SEC. And hold on a moment, just up Brennan hovering. He was hovering the Pantheon. I was a little confused for a moment. No, that is Olaf jungle. I was thinking, hold on a moment, is it Pantheon jungle and some weird Elise mid? Wrong teams. Hookdoor, it's been a long day. It's been an interesting series so far. I need to not confuse the 2 teams. They swapped sides on me after games 1 and 2. But yeah.
So, team going over to the blue side. First Blood Knights finally going over to the red. They have actually favored the blue side over on this side of First Blood Knights. So maybe this is an omen of times to come. Maybe this is team's moment to bring it back into a game number 4, create a little bit more of a series for us, as the goal leads in game 1 and 2 have really snowballed over the side on to First Blood Knights.
Yeah, and if it's going to be a comeback, if the reverse sweep is going to start, this is definitely a draft that will allow TTT to do it. Like we've said, FBK's draft is pretty pretty arrogant is a way to put it, and maybe they'll be able to defend it, but it's up to them to prove that this draft is defensible. It is their way to win. But TTT definitely does have a 1 draft here. They do have the advantage. It's just a matter of will they have the gameplay to execute on it. So far, that answer has been no, but maybe with all the cards stacked in their favor, they'll be able to pull something out, claim some tempo, get themselves back into a positive mental state, and try to begin bringing this series back. We're going to be hitting the Rift pretty shortly, but that I think is going to be the story here. Can they do it, or will it just be this Pantheon and Renekton rolling over TTT's hopes and dreams?
Yeah, we'll be right back with game number 3 here for the Dominate Premade Finals at Arisen Esports. Just taking a minute. See you in a bit. and welcome back to Game 3 of the Dominate Premade Finals here for Risen Esports. My name is Richter, and casting with me this evening is Cole for First Blood Knights going 2-0 against Team here for Game 3.
Yeah, and we've got a really interesting draft going into this game. So far this series, it has been First Blood Knights steamrolling over TTT. They said, all right, well, if we're winning early game and steamrolling so hard, how about we just commit to it? Let's lock in the Pantheon. Let's lock in the Renekton. Let's go for it. We're going to try and win this game as quickly as we possibly can. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can convert on a draft that, if the teams were of even skill, it would be a worse draft for FBK. With the way this series is going, I think this is them making a bold call that they can absolutely capitalize on a winning lane with Renekton, on a Pantheon mid lane to help out with skirmishes that happen in the enemy jungle. And they're going to try to win this game as quickly as they can. They're getting outscaled, but I think they've said that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Team looked for something there, grouping up with that Thresh hook potentially, but just going to scry out a vision control means that they do know that Olaf is now starting onto the top side, too late to rotate down to that bottom, which means that the bottom lane of Elkan and D-Grubbers don't have to feign the fact that they are going to be trying to hover over to that side. Also means that Renekton gets his early push up into the top side. As long as Juiced Up Brennan doesn't show top early, means that there should be advantage over Zamundo early.
Yeah, and that's been the name of the series, is advantage to Zamundo early. Last game, it actually took a little bit of time, but that was game one. We saw Zamundo absolutely roll over top lane. With Renekton, that's going to have to be the case again. It's definitely an earlier pick than the gangplank we saw in game two. Much more like the set we saw in game one. Now he's just going to have to do it against Set. It's a different pick. It's not in Horn for the first time this series. A little harder to punish a Set, regardless of who you pick. But Renekton is the right way to do it.
Pacey gets hooked in level 1, under tower gets ignited. Flash forward for Elkan, looking for that first blood. Goes over to D-Grubbers as they get the level 2 Spouse Spike into the level 1 Pacey.
Yeah, and that's D-Grubbers using the level 2 power spike. Everyone knows about it in bot lane, and Pacey just blows the hook a little too early, trying to dodge out from the death sentence. But D-Grubbers holding onto it so long that by the time Pacey has blown everything, that Nautilus is dead. There's no heal, it's teleport on that Ezreal, and we see this was the one thing we didn't get to talk about with draft. But FBK gave away the Thresh to D-Grubbers. That is his one trick. They decided to ban the Senna instead, and D-Grubbers showing them Thresh is his one trick for a reason, landing that hook, getting the first blood, and that is a bot lane advantage for TTT. I think it's the first time this series they've gotten first blood for themselves, and that is a big deal for them.
Teemo SEC trading quite heavily, but again you see the CS lead just growing for Zamundo, that was his second tower shot already of the lane tanked up there for Zamundo in the top lane, but 23 CS to 10, gonna have a little bit. Hook goes wide in the bottom there for D-Grubbers too.
And I misspoke, they totally did get first blood last game. It was on an invade. No invades yet this game. It's been a little more normal from the junglers so far, thankfully. Just some standard laning aside from that hook going down.
No invades from the jungle already. Here we go. Juiced Up Brennan into that bottom side, thinking that they have priority in the bottom lane, and they do. D-Grubbers now landing the hook onto the level 2 Pacey. Goes so low already. Last little bit of an auto. Can't quite find it, but he just can't go back in. Hook on the tower. This is really good. D-Grubbers tanking it up. Gets ignited. But over on the top side, we talked about that invade already. Juiced Up Brennan flashes over for the kill on Pacey. 2 deaths already in 4 minutes.
Yeah, what I should have said, instead of no invades, is no invades getting spotted out is the difference. And Landon and Pacey just not expecting an Olaf to be behind their turret, looking to help them out on that dive. They do lose the Nautilus there.
Goes for the hook, goes for the lantern, trying to get Juiced Up Brennan on the tower, and Elkan finds it, but he's tanking it. Here comes Denny the Panda, roaming, gets hooked on the tower, but looking for the double, secures it, and up in the top lane, Cinderbell also looking for Teemo SEC. Trades all the way around the map. Denny the Panda is still trying to trade onto Juiced Up Brennan. Finally lands a stun. I don't think he's quite got enough burst on the tower. Can't tank up another shot, but the action just breaks loose.
Yeah, and that's really well played by Denny the Panda to get there for the cleanup. The Raccoon God just sitting mid lane as that play happens, denying farm. Day the Panda says, farm doesn't matter, I want kills. Able to find Elcan with the combo, and then D Grubbers actually pulls turret aggro with a death sentence and goes down to the turret. So that's going to be 2 kills for the Pantheon, and a good way to punish that super aggressive play from TTT. It ends up being a 2 for 2 at the end of the day. The TTT jungler committing, the FBK mid laner committing. So overall, an even trade. Not exactly what you're looking for your FBK. You want to be winning these plays, but still good damage control when they were on the back foot of the play.
Yeah, Zamundo actually finally potentially having a freeze up into the top lane. 43 CS to 13 in the top side. Teemo SEC can't find anything. Cinderbell was hovering top side as well. That means that he just can't go up. He just doesn't have the confidence to go for this wave right now. Looking for mid, but that means that it's pushed. Raccoon God has priority in this lane. That means Daddy the Panda fairly safe. Already level 6 with that roam down bottom.
Yeah, and here's the
he goes aggressive. This was the wrong time. Level 6, level 4, Teemo SEC trying to get a pullback in. Level 5 doesn't mean you do have that shockwave. Do not have the burst to get down there. The Panda Cinderbell roaming there as well. Doesn't quite find too much, but this is all the while Zamundo is just free farming top lane.
Yeah, this is Teemo SEC saying top lane isn't going the way I want it to, so I am leaving. The issue when you get nothing on a roam like that is that you're just sacrificing even more farm. You're sacrificing more experience. You're a level 4 set, ganking a level 6 Pantheon. It's just not likely to work out. Daddy the Panda, a little too over-leveled for that play to be functional, and it means that Teemo SEC ends up even further behind. It's a bit of an advantage for the Raccoon God, but does not make up for the big sacrifice that Teemo SEC
down into the bottom lane. You get the hook onto D Gubbers. Now they're going forward. Arcane shifting forward. Doesn't quite land the cocoon. Just trying to tank it up. Ignite goes down as well. The repel comes in. Trying to secure the kill. They're going very low now. Elcan can maybe turn something around. Can't quite find it, but D Gubbers finally falls to Cinderbell going to the bottom.
Yep, and that's a gank with the information. Thresh has no flash, let's kill him. They aren't able to land the cocoon. Ezreal isn't able to land the arcane flux, but it's enough damage from the 3v2. They are able to get the kill. Not the cleanest gank of all time, but you take those kills. And oh man, Zamundo sees juiced up Brennan.
He's taking up onto the 2v1 up into the top side. Daddy the Panda ults in there as well, but just doesn't need it. Dominus so strong there. That means Teemo SEC level 5 to the level 7. Big shield coming out. Can't quite cancel that for Zamundo, but Daddy the Panda picks his third kill up of the game with that serrated Turk, and Teemo SEC just doesn't seem relevant in a third game yet again.
A long-range spear to secure the kill, but that play starts with Zamundo saying, you think you can gank me? You think you can come into my top lane? No, sir. This is my top lane. I'm going
fighting
to
as well. Cinderbell can land the cocoon. Doesn't quite find it. Lantern out as well from the bottom lane. Means that that's good priority here for the side of Team to get out their mid laner.
These cocoons are going a little wide here and there. Cinderbell not looking the most comfortable.
He's level 5.
Yeah.
He's on a ward. Can't quite find anything, but Daddy the Panda has the priority. Goes in yet again for a little bit more damage. Doesn't quite have that kill threat yet again. That means the roaming out for D Grubbers just needs to try and secure this mid laner, as this win game is kind of working out currently for First Blood Knights.
Yeah, Zamundo now has a lead. This is a 3-0 Pantheon mid. Got lots of question marks from the Twitch chat as an unnecessary pickup, but so far, Daddy the Panda proving it to be very, very successful. Getting kills bot lane, top lane, roaming very well with this ultimate, making sure that that pick does not get punished. And now, oh, this freeze. It's when do you freeze lanes in the middle of the lane on your opponent's side? That's not the way freezes are supposed to work, but it's working anyway.
Yeah, he just wants to crash this entire wave in. That'll give him a nice little bit of a reset if he needs to. He can already buy the recurve bow and boots as well, so a nice little bit of a base in, but he's roaming up towards his rift, giving his jungler the support. Cinderbell level 5 to the level 8. Look at this level disparity coming out between these champions.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way top lane goes. If you sit in lane and you farm, you get a level lead compared to your jungler. You get some pressure, and now Zamundo trying to leverage it. It's going to be a herald. You want to make sure you use your winning lanes to get objectives. That's going to be actually a trade, because the dragon goes down to juiced up Brennan while Cinderbell is on that herald. So it's an objective for an objective. Again, not really what you want if you're FPK. I think with how ahead your Pantheon is in the mid lane, you really don't want to be giving up anything. But a trade is not the end of the world, and you would rather have Herald when you're trying to win games early. The gold is going to accelerate your game state and accelerate your chance of winning much faster than the Dragon is.
The camp top continues, tanking up the tower for Cinderbell. He does have that repel, that just means Zamundo can just tank it up. Repel comes down at the last moment, but then now means Zamundo has to flash away from the tower, and Teemo SEC survives the 2v1 up into the top lane. Do not have quite the damage, but now Denny the Panda said it's my turn to come in. What can I do? Half health on Teemo SEC, doesn't have a lot of cooldowns left. Cindy Bell tries to get a little bit of a more support out, but he's just living on his tower. He's breathing, and Cindy Bell has to flash. The repel comes out as well, but finally the spear. Denny the Panda gets his 4th kill. Down to the bot lane though. Juiced up Brennan trying to trade something. Landon and Pacey just have to retreat away from this tower as Ates fall for Elcan.
That was the messiest successful dive I've ever seen in my life from Tor.
TP coming in. Double knock up there. True shot for Wild over the top of it means Pacey's very low as well. Has to flash away. The hook for Dark Grubbers means that the play can continue as Elcan. Natural instinct, killer instinct back into there. Zamundo's TP down, but he's so low. It doesn't matter though, he's won the fight for his team. Zamundo now looking for Grubbers, but isn't going to find anything more.
Yeah, and it's the right idea from TTT. When you see the enemy team commit 3 members of their team to a very messy dive top lane, you know they're not going to be anywhere on the rest of the map for a little while. The issue, Zamundo has teleport, Zamundo has gone base, and oh, goodbye the Raccoon God, I'll see you later. Whew. That's Pantheon.
That is Pantheon. Coldstone couldn't really play-by-play that. It was just happening all in a blink of an eye. He was a dead man. He knew it as soon as he saw the Grand Stifle come in. And Landon TPing there as well, just cut off at the head.
Yep, giving the kill over to Landon as well, getting this Ezreal on the scoreboard as well. It's starting to accelerate for FBK. Their comp comes online when they have these ultimates, when they start getting these first completed items in their inventory. It's Duskblade for Pantheon, it's Blade of the Ruin King for Renekton. Ezreal's still playing a little slower, but they are activating. This is a 3.5k gold lead at 13 minutes. They're going to keep growing it if they can. The Renekton is monstrous. The Pantheon is monstrous. The Elise has looked a little bit shaky, but also getting the job done, making sure the rest of FBK has these leads. It's working out. So now all eyes going to be onto these turrets. They've got top. They want to crack bot. Dragons in another 2 minutes. Rift Herald in another 3. FBK going to have to keep accelerating this game. Even when it's calm, they need to be looking, what can we do? How can we play proactively? They're against the clock. So everything is a moment to be making something happen for them.
Yeah, a little bit of invade onto the bottom side for First Blood Knights as they're looking for something. Now they are collapsing mid. They're looking for this mid tower. Raccoons are definitely going to get stunned up here. That starts the play. Looking for the shockwave. Brings Denny the Panda back in, but he can just tank up a few tower shots. Solo as juiced up. Brennan has now flanked. That's a big shot down. Zamundo tanking down as well. Going to get Showstopper back into the tower yet again, but Dominus comes out. A hook for T comes onto the back end of it, but it's all about Zamundo, who will fall, and another shutdown goes over to Teemo SEC as the dive goes a little bit away here for First Blood Knights. TPT now looking for a little bit more. What can they find? Cinderbell on the one. Landon 2. Dodge away from the hook, but the repel comes in and Landon secures it on the back end of it, looking for Elcan. Finding it, looking away, repel back onto the blue buff. Z-Grubber's trying to find a little bit more. He's got the tower that he can retreat to. Juiced up Brennan on the back end of it as well. But a little bit of an array comes out there for First Blood Knights.
Yeah, and this is the issue for FPK. There's the pressure to be proactive. The issue, all your proactivity needs to be calculated. They go for a dive onto the Raccoon God, but TTT actually there to punish it. Juiced up Brennan on the Olaf behind the play, coming in to clean up from the members of FPK that were taking aggro, and they're there. Teemo SEC able to punish Zamundo, getting the kill with the flash. So it actually goes relatively even for both teams. FBK, the aggressors, actually end up losing out on the play by a little bit. It's not the end of the world for them, but when you're trying to be proactive, you gotta make sure you don't accidentally throw. That's a little bit of a throw from them there. And with this game starting to go a little later, with champions approaching level 11, rank 2 ultimates, lots and lots of team fight potential out of this shockwave.
He's gonna get hooked out. Goes golden as well. That's the stopwatch, but Pacey's definitely dead. He can't hook out. And that will be Dragon Control potentially being ceded over to Team. That is what they needed, and that comes off D-Gubbers cancelling the hook onto the wall, just trying to exit, trying to secure that vision. They took the red buff. That got given over to Landon, but it doesn't mean that they can keep hanging around there. Cinderbell maybe looking for a little bit of a steal, but Boost Up Red is so strong. Daddy the Panda now looking for the fight. Elkan on the front line. Zamundo is onto Elkan, but D-Gubbers has got the peel, and now the Dragon gets taken. That was by Cinderbell. It means that goes over to First Blood Knights. Landon on the front lines just looking for a little bit extra. Can get the slows here with the red buff. Can continue the play if Daddy the Panda wants to go in. We do have Pacey coming back to lane as well, but I think that is the play, and that'll be the Dragon going over First Blood Knights.
Yeah, and so FBK, despite being down a support, they do have the health bar advantage. They're able to get in, kill Juiced Up Brennan, bully the rest of TTT off the Dragon. They had to pull off to deal with Zamundo, who unfortunately didn't get the dominance off in that fight. Might have even been able to pick up a kill of his own. Instead, it's going to be a 1-for-1 and a Dragon for FBK. Again, not a hard win for them, but you do take those. A free Dragon's a free Dragon, and an Infernal Dragon when everyone on your team is building damage except for your support. Going to give at least some value here for FBK.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a calm before the next storm here. It's 16 minutes into the game. That means Baron isn't on the table. Rift is, though. That means that's going to be the next point. D-Gubbers is just trying to collect vision up into the top side for his team, but it's instantly moved into, this is First Blood Knights territory as they flash forward aggressively onto the Raccoon God, and he just gets blown up by Landon. D-Gubbers can't do anything about it in the bot lane. Zamundo level 11 engaging, but he's got taken too much. Juiced Up Brennan is there onto the side, able to just retreat Elkan on the back end of it. He's got Dominus running when that maybe goes off. Maybe they can look for a little bit of a collapse here, but Daddy the Panda is on the flank waiting for this grand Skyfall to potentially find something.
Yeah, and so with Zamundo spotting out 2 and not going down, that's going to mean an easy Rift Herald take for FBK. They get the kill on the Raccoon God, they see Juiced Up Brennan bot lane. There is no contest for that objective, which is good. Zamundo generating pressure, looking for the dive, sees the Olaf, wisely backs off, decides not to pull aggro and get himself killed, but he is still in trouble.
They take the 2v1. We do have the killer instinct if they do decide to go back into it, but Daddy the Panda again, another hook into the mid lane. Team at SEC is taken on 2, big shield down for him, but it's Daddy the Panda who is now under fire. Elkan does have that killer instinct if he wants to go back in. The stun comes out, but where is the follow-up? The follow-up isn't there because D-Grubbers again with the peel, just getting Elkan this double kill, but a dive in the mid lane means that Cinderbell, the hook onto the spider. However, Cinderbell goes golden, but he's just in the middle of a team now. Tries to go for Elkan, can't go find it, and a triple kill goes over to the Kaiser. We talked about this going to the late game, and potentially it can now as Team are fighting back.
Yeah, FBK not extending their lead here. They get the Herald, but it's just too much uncoordinated aggression. They're fighting with a numbers disadvantage basically everywhere they go. They get one good kill, but then Zamundo's alone, and then Daddy the Panda shows up to try to help. Pacey shows up to try to help, but at every step of the way, they're a little outnumbered on the bottom side of the map. And eventually, once Zamundo has been forced back to base, Daddy the Panda dies, Pacey dies. It's disastrous for FBK in some sense. Despite the fact that they still have their 3k gold lead, it is just an effective stall from TTT, and that's all they want to be looking to do is slow this game down. They're doing it right now. They're stopping Zamundo from getting this bot turret. They do lose their mid turret, but they put up a fight and they get some kills for their trouble, so it's working out for them so far.
Yeah, both buddies coming down to the bottom lane. They do start it off onto D-Grubbers, going for the hook as well. Death charge onto the support, but that is a lot of damage onto the support. Pacey has to run away as well. Juiced Up Brennan on the back end of it. Landon now coming out with the pokes of Windows, potentially going to be power diving onto Juiced Up Brennan, slides against it as Dominus has now been blocked. A lot of trading there as Elkan secures it onto the back end, sniping out Pacey.
Yeah, that's a really clutch Void Seeker from Elkan. Heads up to realize there's a low health Nautilus on the map, just fishing, trying to find him, and does connect, getting a kill for that fight. And again, TTT just stalling a little bit more. Their bot turret's getting lower, but they're getting kills, they're getting gold, they're making sure that if they have to give up an objective, it's at least a trade. And that's all they want to be trying to do here. It's working out very, very well for them.
I think also we're finding this with the mid laner being melee, the fact that they do have this push, they are trying to push for these towers, Cinderbell just trying to get brothers off this pink, but it's going to get contested. Can't quite do anything about that. But the fact that they are melee and they are pushing up to these towers, they can't really dive as Grand Skyfall's actually been used, but they rotate. Alcan going the right way, Landon can't quite secure it. As they're retreating back to these towers are providing so much protection for the side of Team to get them back into the game.
Yeah, it's that FBK just isn't quite ahead enough to force dives 5v5. And every time they go for one, it seems like TTT is answering. It's not been perfect from TTT, but they get there. They collapse quickly enough. They're playing heads up, they have enough vision, they're able to play reactively and make sure that when FBK goes super aggressive, they're at least there to answer it in some capacity. And that makes sure that every time FBK tries to make something happen, it doesn't go wholly their way, and that's a big deal for TTT. They do lose the dragon, they do lose summoner spells here and there, but for the most part, they're keeping themselves in this game.
There's a flank here. Juiced up Brennan going for Daddy the Panda. D-Gubbers as well, forcing the flash, but Unstoppable's already been propped there. Juiced up Brennan looking on the tower. That means Daddy the Panda off the map. He's going to have to recoil. He's going to have to come back without a flash.
Yeah, but while they're going for that play top,
oh, Rich Herald, Juiced Up Brennan is so low as they can't quite get the burst down onto Cinderbell. Has to be careful of the Raccoon God. Level 12, got that big shockwave in tow there. Farmed up that Luden's Echo, but as you say, in the bottom lane, it is Zamundo finally taking that tower down with the Rich Herald in the bottom.
Yeah, he not only got that bot outer that they've been fighting for so long, but he got the bot inner, and then the Herald bonked the inhibitor turret as well. That is what you want to see if you're FBK. This can be your win condition. If the Renekton can get the split push working in the bot lane, that is the easiest way to convert and pivot into a Baron. A bot lane inhibitor is always the most valuable inhibitor when Elder Dragon isn't on the map. You get pressure as far away from Baron as possible. And though the TPs are both available, it is going to favor FBK if the split push keeps going on. The issue is Zamundo's in trouble.
They're going to take this. Teemo SCC just waiting for Zamundo. Going to have to put that Dominus, but I don't know if it's going to help him. Now he's go down. Showstopper into the back end of it, and Teemo SCC picks up a kill with his very defensive Sterix cage build. Is a little bit fearful of the 1v1, but when you bring Juiced Up Ren into the fight, it's a different matter.
Yeah, that Olaf provides so much value in chasing down a Renekton. And the issue for Renekton, normally he's super mobile when chasing someone down. If he can hit you with his E, he gets another E as well. The issue when running away through the jungle, you don't have those targets to double dash on. And just one dash from Renekton is not going to be enough to get away from the onslaught of axes that Juiced Up Brennan can throw at him. So if that Olaf ever does find the Renekton and the rest of FBK isn't in position to punish Juiced Up Brennan for showing up bot lane, wow.
Oh, and again, coming out for Pacey, but it's on Teemo SCC. The Raccoon got very low, but it doesn't really matter. Pacey gonna be the target. Teleport coming down as well. Cinderbell solo has to go gone in the fray. Shockwave comes onto Denny the Panda as they're now re-engaging onto his Zamundo, tanking it, but he can't tank for long. He just doesn't have the scaling Landon, just missing out on Hook. But Elcan securing it onto Cinderbell. Now they're going forward onto Denny the Panda. Gonna be the next time. Double kill going over to Elcan. Now they're pushing. Killer Instinct goes back onto the back line, but can't find Pacey. Has to play around the periphery of the fight, but picks up that triple kill. Landon has to flash away. Teemo SCC on the back end of it. Arcane shifting back into the fight now, but Landon just can't find anything.
And Hellcan played that fight so well. We saw it in the bot lane. These Void Seekers find their low health targets with uncanny accuracy. Every time someone's almost out of the fight, Elcan throws out a Void Seeker and secures that kill. It's converting a fight where nothing happens into a fight where he gets a triple kill. That is a 10-3-4 Kai'Sa now. Elcan doing everything he can to carry this game. That's a scary, scary Kai'Sa. And that is TTT's path to forcing a game 4. It looks like things are starting to go their way here. The team comp of FBK falling off and Kai'Sa punishing them for it.
Yeah, Grand Skyfall just being used to get the ultimate out of Juiced Up Brennan as well, but Landon's there on the flank. Maybe they'll get more something as well. Landon has to be a little bit careful. Arcane shifts out of the danger zone.
Yeah, and Teleport coming in to try and turn that fight, Zamundo able to cancel it, which means that both top laners now out of Teleport. Zamundo's still trying to make the split push work, but with the rest of his team not generating any pressure, it just means that he's a sitting duck, so he has to back off.
We do have Cloud Soul going to be the name of the game here. They're going to go wide there for D-Grubbers as they are now challenging for this Baron Vision as well. Juiced up running back into the fray. Doesn't quite have that Ragnarok down as well. But see the damage there coming out from Landon. Doesn't quite find it, but Hook over the wall does. He also takes it. Now he's into three-man shockwave comes out for the Raccoon God. And Elkan's into the fray as well with that instinct over the wall. Following up on the engagement of D-Grubbers. Survives as well. Doesn't quite find that true shot barrage, means that the Savior is out, and it doesn't matter if Zamundo is ahead if they can win the rest of the map.
An amazing engage from D-Grubbers and the Raccoon God. It's just the two of them. The Thresh goes in, delivers the ball, and the Raccoon God follows it up with a massive shockwave that forces FBK onto the back foot. There's no way they're going to win the fight if they eat ultimates like that. And that means that it's going to be the Cloud Dragon and TTT going to start to wrest control of this game. They are now in the driver's seat. They're down 2k gold, but with a comp that scales so much better, they may as well be up 5k. It is going to be very, very difficult for FBK to convert from their early gold lead in this game. It's going to take a fantastic fight. It's going to take picks because TTT are playing this exactly as they should.
Yeah, when you're starting to group up, when you're consciously fighting for vision as well, someone has to be a little bit careful into the top lane. The Hook's going to come down onto Cinderbell, who uses a stopwatch. Lantern in there as well for Team SEC. Now they're going onto the window in the front line of it. The Raccoon God takes the Hook, and Landon will be able to secure that. Now they can re-engage, but it doesn't matter. Cinderbell finding fools. The window finding so much time. Team SEC solo. Flash onto Elkan. He goes golden, but this should be a one fight for SEC solo as well. A little bit of a Lantern damage down coming for Juice Up Runners. They're looking for Landon. Landon fighting back. Hook's coming in. Will he finally go down? Arcane ships over the wall. Double kill as First Blood Knights fight back.
Yeah, and FPK actually get the ace there. It's a 5 for 2. They win the fight, despite the fact that it starts with a hook onto Cinderbell. The shockwave doesn't really get that much value, only hitting one tank, and then the Raccoon God goes down. Elkan able to take out the two members of FPK that go down into Mundo and Cinderbell, but then when the rest of the team collapses onto it, it's going to be the White able to find those valuable targets. The Pantheon W actually providing tons of value, and wow, that Baron was really, really close.
Yeah, it's actually True Shot Barrage over it just to ensure that Pacey could live. They rotated the aggro nicely though, managing to secure the objective. That answer to the fact that they are all armor as well means Leandri Torment was the third pickup for Landy. That just means he's going to just have a little bit extra damage in his kit as well. So I kind of like that buy, a little bit unorthodox, but he's getting the work done.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Gunblade right after that, this Ezreal specking into magic damage. I like it as well. I think it's a unique pickup, but Leandri's does provide a ton of value. Ezreal does have AP scalings. He's actually a good hybrid champion as far as that goes. The AP build.
Face check here for the side of Denny the Panda means that he doesn't want any of this. Managed to buy a lot of time, but the Hook for the re-engagement there for Pacey. D-Grubbers playing these fights so well coming forward now. Landy, what can he do on the back end of it? Timo SEC in the front side, forces the flash, but it doesn't matter. The Mundo in the back end, but he just doesn't have a hope. True Shot Barrage comes up, go down, securing the back end of it. Timo SEC gonna fall, but now he's over the Hook, and another Hook land. D-Grubbers blows him up. He's got the damage. This Ezreal is fighting them back into the game.
That was a massive amount of damage from Landon. Holy moly. I've never seen an Ezreal do that much. That's the power of the Leandri's Riptor. When you're building all armor and suddenly Ezreal's firing off 500 damage arcane shifts, you've got a lot to worry about. Landon actually able to keep FBK in control on the tail end of that fight. It's kind of a fight about nothing. It just starts with Denny the Panda face checking and TTT saying, I think we can kill him. It's just a trade of kills. There's no objective, but this does stall out the Baron of FBK. TTT trading so hard means that most members of FBK lose their Baron. Landon, of course, does stay alive with it, but the timer is a lot shorter than it would have been. Denny the Panda face checking, costing them time and pressure. And when you're on a timer like FBK is, that is a costly mistake indeed. They need to try and use what's left of this Baron if they can. But Landon actually going into base now, teleporting. There it is. trying to
Bit
use
of a
what's
rotate and a teleport down. Home guards on the way. We do have that slow. The Gunblade was the pickup, but the Lantern just secures them out. So they do have pressure onto this bottom side. We do have Ezreal with this Baron buff, just buffing up the minions. Maybe they can look to use a little bit more of an extra push. So much poke coming out of this Ezreal. The Mundo goes very low, still has the Dominus, however. That means that they can push forward. Teemo SEC already burnt the Seret's Cage as well. True Shock Barrage coming over the top, doesn't find anyone.
Yeah, I think the shockwave being blown there is a really big deal for FBK. It means that they don't have to worry about that. It's going to be on cooldown when this next wave arrives at turret, and FBK likely going to be looking to crack the base here.
Comes in, but it's onto the cannon minion. Pacey into the front line, getting a little bit low, but they're just looking for the tower. Pacey has to play safe as he pops a stone plate. Cage coming up, but that just stops the advance. They don't care because they do have that tower. They're not going to look for the inhibitor as they've got 15 seconds left on this dragon for the dragon sacking. Third dragon for them if they can take that cloud.
Yeah, and part of the reason why FBK has to back off there is that Zamundo is actually catching and pushing the mid wave, getting that mid-inner turret. He was not there if a fight broke out, and that means that FBK had to play it patiently and slowly. I think with the Renekton there, maybe that's an option, but they decide they're in no particular rush. They'll take their inhibitor turret, and they'll be happy. They'll get the dragon, put themselves on soul point. And despite the fact that their comp isn't scaling that great, they are able to be a coordinated unit. They are finding these dives onto the important targets of TTT when they need them, and they are actually up by 6k gold and looking like maybe they have control of this game once again.
Yeah, I mean, they can just now leverage this pressure that Zamundo has over Teemo SEC. Like, I don't know what this playstyle is, but Teemo SEC is definitely not a fan of Father Seems in this series. Really struggling. Frames Horizon has just been absolutely surpassed here. 277 to 135 really is that other win condition apart from Landon, who is just scaling up on this Ezreal now.
Yeah, and one thing I think I want to look for is it looks like it's actually going to be Azanya's last item from Ezreal, unless that's just a temporary stopwatch pickup. A good buy as well. He's really going into this AP build now that he's got the 80 core of Muramana Iceborne, trying to get through all of this armor stacking. Almost no MR on the side of TTT. And looking towards Baron. It's up in a minute, Rookdor. It's going to get interesting.
Yeah, as I said, just leveraging that pressure that Zamundo is creating for himself. Level 17 to level now 15 just pops over that level. That's a little bit nicer, but needs that level 16 to really get that spike going for himself. Zamundo, if he does draw in this pressure, that just means that they can potentially trade 3v4 on the top side of the map for this Baron buff. But they're pushing mid, they're pushing the solo lanes, and they're getting pressure to be able to rotate back to this, and so much ward and vision over onto the side. We do the skull take, however, onto the side of Team, so they can potentially look to leverage that.
Yeah, that scuttle is going to be gone by the time Baron is alive. And this is a common play to do if you want to look to pull off to Baron, is you actually push past it and stay there for a minute or two. And it makes clearing wards almost unnecessary because they'll time out before you even decide to go to the Baron. So you can retreat into total darkness guaranteed. And that makes a Baron face check that much scarier for the team that has been pushed in. And it looks like that's what FBK is trying to do here to some extent. They're just trying to generate pressure and go to this Baron. They're saying to TGT, you're going to have to face check into us. We have a Nautilus, we have an Elise. You need to be scared. What happens if you get hooked or cocooned? And that is a risk that TTT is going to need to be willing to take because another Baron going down could be a problem for them. Looks like FBK is starting it up. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, they actually started when Zamundo went back to base, finishing that GA, but now they're teleporting into the fight. That definitely means that they want to play the go button. Ragnarok already put back onto Denny the Panda, but he doesn't really want to take that one. Shockwave, not quite in range there for the Raccoon God as he's looking to come back to mid as well. They'll try and reset that play. They do have this power spike of that Guardian Angel now finished, and Zamundo can go right back to the bottom and they can just repeat the process.
Yep, that's going to be Olaf Ultimate, really the only crucial cooldown burn there other than the Renekton teleport. It's going to be a bit of a Baron dance here for FBK. They want to keep using that split push, and you can see Zamundo now working his way into the base of TTT. Someone's going to have to go back to answer it. It looks like the set finally is, and they're starting the Baron. Rooktor, everything's happening. This is going to be it, I think.
Team are committing to this. They are getting wrapped around, all in place. Now Gannon just got blown up at the start of it. Now Landon comes to this bit, but can't quite fix it as he goes golden as well. The hook comes in, but in the back, it doesn't mean too much. This First Blood Knights find a fight that they want. They get into the pit. D-Grubbers now comes back in. Landon is so big. We get D-Grubbers leaving the game as well, as it doesn't matter. Zamundo is in the base all the while. Landon TP's in there as well. And First Blood Knights will clean the victory here for the finals of the Dominate Premade League here for Risen Esports. They will go 3-up against Team, and they will be victorious. They will get the honor, they will get the prestige, and a win goes over to First Blood Knights.
And congratulations to them for a very convincing 3-0. They took a pretty cocky draft here. They said, we're going Pantheon Renekton, we're going to roll over this game. Ironically, it's their slowest win of the series, but they get the job done nonetheless, and they prove themselves to be the champions of this Risen Dominate Premade Spring Split. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, what fantastic play coming out of them. Not to leave anything behind for Team. They were trying to defend their title. They couldn't quite get over the line. They had a really good series going 5-2 against Boomers and Zoomers to get here, but unfortunately falling short. First Blood Knights on the top of this Zamundo in the top lane. So strong all the time. And Cinderbell getting the picks, looking for the invade. Landon just scaling up always. Getting this Ezreal pick very nicely played onto that. Going for this hybrid AB build. Worked out in the end. Went pretty legendary. 10, 2, and 13. Ended the scoreline. Had a lot of good participation.
Yeah, and that really was the Ezreal putting in a crazy amount of work. I said it was going to be the solo lanes, but it definitely was Landon. That Leandries came online, and we saw him just absolutely chunking team. Killing D-Grubbers, forcing the Raccoon God to go back, securing that dragon was one of those plays that didn't change the game, but it proved that Ezreal is a menace. And he was putting in the work in all of these late game fights. It was just a little too hard for Team to get onto him. Zamundo carried those first 2 games pretty hard. Landon shows up for the third one and dominates. However, we are going to go to a brief break, and I believe that we will be back with interviews momentarily.
Hello and welcome back to the post interviews for the Dominate Premade Finals here at Risen Esports. And we do have the bot lane here of First Blood Knights, Pacey and Landon, who played Karma Aphelios in game 1. They then went on to do the Ezreal and Braum. Oh, wait. You guys did the Senna and Maokai, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Senna and Maokai, what a particular pairing that was. Really had a lot of free stacks on that Senna. That was wonderful play. How are you guys doing? How do you feel that series went?
It was. I thought it would be 3-1 because we always have a game 3. So I thought, especially when I died level 1 in lane, I was like, it's just a game 4. It's just a 4-game series. But 3-0 is pretty nice. It's just a Landon diff.
Yeah, I mean, that Ezreal build game 3 was inspired. Talk us a little bit about that, because you dealt 39,000 damage, and the next one on the leaderboard was your Pantheon with 15k.
Yeah, I think I had to go that build actually because of our team comp. We had way too much 80.
Yeah, that was something we pointed out, is that draft was perhaps a little disrespectful. Was that y'all limit testing, or was that a calculated endeavor? What was the mentality saying, all right, let's draft Renekton Pantheon as our solo lanes? And
That
were
was
you expecting the Ezreal to be the difference maker with that setup?
That was a psychopathic draft. Our jungler Alex loves to run into their enemy jungle, and since we were up 2-0, we thought we would BM. So we picked really aggressive top side, and then we picked Ezreal in case we messed it up. And then I decided I wanted to grief my support pick and pick not into Thresh because the enemy support had given me such a free lane the first 2 games, so I thought I'd pay him back.
Yeah, there were a couple of good engages there on the side of team, but ultimately you guys were victorious with the 3-0. How do you play with this Zamundo in the top lane? He seems an absolute menace and really tore through the competition.
Landon, do you want to tell him?
Yeah, he definitely, he's really good, but he does tend to overreach a lot. And yeah, I had him muted for a couple of those games because he's crazy.
Such a potato.
I unmuted him the 3rd game.
You had your top laner muted while playing with him in the finals.
Yeah. Games for the first 2 games.
I was the one that told them what. I was the one that told Landon what Zamudo was saying.
Right, well, I mean, you do have to have open communication in the bottom lane. You guys clearly did display that. I love the center pick, and it is difficult now to play that. You do really have to get those stacks aligned, and you really did get that. That row mid with that Rift Herald as well really opened up the map for you. And Landon, you definitely were the recipient of a lot of kills in that play.
All right, one last question. Pacey, I believe the information is that this game in this finals had to be rescheduled today because tomorrow you have something important coming up. Would you like to address the community, say anything, let them know what the plans are, have one last final hurrah while you go out on top?
So I joined Risen, I joined First Blood, like as soon as quarantine started. Because my collegiate season ended, and I found out that I have to go to basic training for National Guard May 18th, but I have to leave tomorrow to get there. So I really wanted to finish out the season strong with the boys because this has been one of my favorite teams that I've played with in years. So it was really awesome that TTT could reschedule for us and that everyone was willing to take time in the middle of a Saturday to watch and play. And I'm really thankful that I got to play the finals with my team, and I get to go to a National Guard, a winner.
Well, congratulations on that win. It was a very convincing finals. I don't think anyone can contest that First Blood Knights are the undisputed champions of the league. Thank you for joining us in Risen, and best of luck in joining the service.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, wonderful having you both on. Thank you so much for joining us. That is going to wrap up things here at Risen Esports for the Dominate Premade Spring Split here. So much enjoyment coming out of this league, and well played to First Blood Knights coming victorious through Team 3-0 lead in that. Excellent play from all of you guys, and thank you so much for attending.